4 Best Ball Mania drafts on tap this morning as we chase $2 million up top in that contest. I'm Pete Overzet. This is Best Ball Breakfast. You guys know the drill. I do a solo draft to kick things off. Then we have Adam Levitan from Establish the Run. You never know what mood he's going to be in around here. We will find out today. At noon Eastern, Sam Sherman, the defending BBM champ. And of course, batting cleanup, Pat Kerrane, the BBM3 champ and my fellow ship chaser. Going to be a good one here today. Let's get it rolling.
Welcome to Hot Best Ball Summer. You slurp that suspension dipperino, honey?
Easy to click on Rashad White when it's all site credits.
Exodia.
Put the puppy in the bag, bro. I'm trying to grow the goddamn game.
The game is beatable, folks.
Slap King Summer, bitches.
7,000 hours of commercial-free best ball drafts starts now.
All right, GMs all around. How are we doing? Good mornings, GMs. We got Chad, B. Stockel, Steven. Oh, poor graphic. No more UD in Alberta. Is this a new development? I am sorry to hear that. GM. What up? From Scotland. GM, I guess that would be, what are you? Good afternoon over there? Good afternoon. What's up, Tart? Top of the morning. Groovy Greg. Greg's here for the coffee pours. And the football guy takes? All right. Well, I don't know how well I'm going to do on the football guy takes, but I can deliver on a coffee pour. If it's the one thing I do, this is for you, Greg. There we go. You know, I have to be fully transparent. I did have an iced coffee, a cold brew this morning. So I do have some caffeine in my system, but we're always going to get to the coffee pours here around the Best Ball Breakfast offices. Jesse Riddle, make sure you opt into the BBM promo. Yes, if you guys missed this, I should pull this up right now because this did just drop earlier this morning. A very fun promo. Let me show you. There's actually a few of them up here. Let me see here. All right. Yeah, here we go. As you can see here, we have multiple promos. There's a slow puppy challenge, draft 2, get 1 free. There is a BBM 7 challenge, draft 4 BBM 7s, get 1. There's an eliminator challenge, draft 4 limbs, get 1, and a fast puppy challenge here. Hit start on these challenges by 7:14 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern to complete them. After you hit start, you will have 5 days to complete them. And yes, slow drafts do count here. I noticed, I believe it's just mobile only. I went on desktop and I didn't see it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start right now on my BBM challenge and we will be good to go there. So make sure you guys join me in getting rolling there. All right, let's see. Anything else we need to get to, or should we just get the drafts ripping here? Purple Yosh says BBM waters are warm with the regs ripping puppies. Okay. All right. That's what I like to hear. I mean, I mentioned it last week. The draft rooms felt legitimately different to me. And I do wonder if we're starting to get more and more people coming in, more and more people ready to join us here for this drafting home stretch. Although I'll also say, I mean, I write the Fantasy Life newsletter 5 days a week. And man, as far as news, it has been very barren out there. I feel like there is basically no relevant news right now. We were in the ultimate down period in that regard. I did hop in a draft. I tried to tip people off in the Discord, but it snap filled here on me. And you guys know how it goes around here, right? You know, I tell you about the promo. I tell you to sign up on Underdog, use promo code P, get that 50% deposit match. I do my job as an influencer. And how do the influencer gods reward me? With a 101. A 101 for my 80th Best Ball Mania draft here on July 13th. I don't know if I recognize any names in here. Lewenbrew, maybe. But if you were trying to get into the draft with me, there are 3 more to come today. And I will continue to tip those of you off in the Discord before I hop in here. But let's settle in. Let's see what we're working with here. I am on the clock. I'm going to go ahead and grab my Jahmyr Gibbs here. I am curious what my Jahmyr Gibbs exposure is right now. Is that true? Do my eyes deceive me? Do I really have 1.3% Jahmyr Gibbs? My God. Maybe I'm not an influencer. Where are all my influencer 101s? Only 1% Gibbs? I need to go check this. I need to check this on Underdog. I thought for sure I was at least at like 4 or 5%. That seems crazy. Let's see. Gibbs here. 3.3% across all of my drafts. Unbelievable. Here I am bragging about getting influencer 101s, and the blockchain says otherwise. I guess I need to do better. Please sign up on Underdog using promo code Pete. You can also sign up for the solver. Get 20% off the solver, my overlay tool here with promo code Pete. Lord knows I need some more of these influencer 101s. I guess I'm slightly overweight Bijan, so I am getting some 102s in the mix there. But that was quite the bombshell revelation for me here on Monday morning. I think if you would have had this, if you would have put a gun to my head this morning and said, Pete, how much Jahmyr Gibbs do you have in best ball right now? And you must be within 1.5% correct. Your life depends upon it. I would not be here today. I think I would have said 5%, but apparently it's 3.3% and only 1.3% in BBM. So there you have it. There you have it. All right, here we go. All right, we're all settled in now. Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan, Chase, Puka, JSN, CMC, Amon-Ra, Jonathan Taylor, CeeDee Lamb, James Cook. Oh, Go AZ Cards is in here. I knew we had one friend and family in the mix. You want me to feed some ducks? Maybe. I feel like we need to earn it. We all need to earn it. Perfectly cromulent won a Hold'em tournament on Friday night, was drafting BBM teams until the final 3 tables. Look at that. That's living the dream. Drafting BBM, playing poker, and then you say, I got to focus. No more BBMs. Let me ship this tournament. I like where your head's at. I can't drop the baby. I might drop the baby. Land the plane on Gibbs. Can't ruin it. You only get so many Gibbs shares around here. Hugh says underweight Gibbs is a cruel tragedy of luck. I know. I just started listening. I've been behind and listening to the Establish the Edge projections podcasts, Mark Dank, Jack Miller, and of course, Ben Gretsch. And they were talking through, the NFC South in the Bijan stuff. And, one of the reasons they still have, Bijan as a clear 102 behind Gibbs is this idea of how much is Brian Robinson going to have the Tyler Algier role, which did steal a decent amount of goal line carries away from Bijan at the goal line, and how Gibbs, his competition there with Pacheco just sets him up for such a massive workload and all those high value touches without Montgomery there. So it is an interesting thing to talk through there. Because I have Gibbs on so few teams, I have very little combinatorial ownership pairings with him. It looks like I have a Trey McBride with him. I have Jalen Waddle with him. Those are the only guys I have on Gibbs BBM teams. I'm happy to do Nico here. We'll go Gibbs and Nico. That's one I feel good about. And where else do we want to go here? Jeremiyah Love, Devontae Smith, Breece Hall. I have been liking the 4-5 turn right now as far as running backs available. So it has pushed me to be a little bit more open to wide receivers on this side of the board. So I'm going to go with Devontae Smith here. We'll start with a Gibbs, Nico, and Devontae. Certainly could have justified Jeremiyah Love there. But knowing that we now have Montgomery, Swift, Bucky, Tuten, even sometimes Skattebo has been falling in drafts, I kind of like the idea of grabbing the 2 high-end wide receivers here. Feel really good about Nico and Devontae Smith this year. I think I'm struggling, now that I'm doing more slow drafts, I'm having more of these decisions. Jeremiyah Love has been a really interesting guy to think through. He's really interesting through an eliminator lens as well. That's where I'm doing most of my slow drafts, just with that week 14 bye. We know how valuable the late buys are in that format. On the other hand, there's just so many ways things can go wrong for him in this offense. You can deal with the split backfield stuff. If Connor hangs around here, obviously Algier, there's questions about the offense. there's a lot of paths to having a repeat of the Ashton Genty season where it's like the talent is undeniable and yet we are just max frustrated from a fantasy standpoint. And then at least with the Genty stuff, right? I mean, that was a lot of offensive line driven issues as far as impacting his poor play, but we could have systemic issues with Jeremiyah Love at the end of the season once we get Carson back. The offense could really be struggling there. So he's the ultimate bet on talent kind of play because, man, the situation, the backfield competition, it could be really messy there. I think at this price is fine though, right? I mean, we were taking Genty at what? 1.9, 110, even as a rookie. You have a little bit more room for error with Jeremiyah Love at the 2-3 turn at pick 26. I don't have any problems with the price. I'm more just kind of thinking through how it works in practice for Jeremiyah Love. Oh, yes. People shouting out my green badge here. I did just get flipped over to the emerald badge. I cleared, I believe, what is it? 20,000 drafts here. I shared it on Twitter, 20,027 drafts. And then, Mike Zakaria and the NBA bros were trying to shame me because these NBA bros, I mean, if you guys aren't familiar, they have these daily slates and I love my NBA bros. I really do. But it's like, it's the PED era of MLB, the guys that were juicing. I mean, these guys are ripping in 150 auto drafts, set the ranks. They're not really drafting it. I think what we might need is who hand drafted? How many handcrafted boutique drafts did you do? Because these NBA bros with their inflated numbers, there's not enough asterisks in the world for them here. All right, I'm on the clock here. As expected, I do like this spot here for David Montgomery. I do have Nico Collins here. I'm going to be in on the Texans within this offense. And then an interesting spot here. Do I go with the Jameson Williams? I have a ton of Devontae Adams here as well. Why don't we do the double teammate pairing here? Normally I go Devontae Adams, I think in a vacuum. I do think he's undervalued here. But at 14.5%, I only have 6.6% JMO. We have Gibbs. And so now we do Gibbs with JMO. We do Montgomery with Nico. And then we have Devontae Smith there. So 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers here through 5. I kind of like how that one's looking there. What's your top 5 highest owned players? I can show you. I will say, because I have not done any live drafts off stream, like I said, I started my slow draft things. These are pretty heavily influenced by people I stream with. I would say probably 50 to 60%, if not more, of these drafts are with co-managers. But I'm happy to tell you that the top 5 are wide receivers. Jeremy Bernard at 20%. That one makes sense. Seems like everyone, ETR, leg up, people are in on the price for Jeremy Bernard, 20% there. Dejon Stribling at 17.8%. Garrett Wilson at 16.7%. Tank Dell, 4th at 15.6%. I don't know how I feel about that one. I really want to get my Jalen Knoll exposure up and this Tank Dell exposure down. I don't want to have that big of a gap. What am I at with Knoll? It's got to be not much. 2.2. That's too much. That's a mistake. I've been doing, I was leaning on Tank early on, and I really want to start flipping that to Jalen Knoll. And then Ladd McConkey here at 15.6%. My highest owned running backs, some of these handcuffs here, Tajay Spears, Tank Bigsby, highest owned tight end. Ooh, Stowers, don't like that one either. Want to backtrack on that. Sadiq, Henry, Freiermuth, Goddard, that's fine. Quarterback, Geno, my highest. Jayden, which I feel good about. Cam Ward, Bryce, Jordan Love, I like. Hurts, I like. So I have some massaging to do with these exposures to get them where I ultimately want to be. But the start here, Jahmyr Gibbs, Nico Collins, Devontae Smith, David Montgomery, Jameson Williams. You can always play the 2v2 game here. Look back. Had I gone Jeremiyah Love instead of Devontae Smith, I could have gone, I guess we could have gone 2 running backs here, or 2 wide receivers to end up with the same structural build. So it's like, what do you like more? Jeremiyah Love, Devontae Adams, and Jameson Williams? Or do you like Devontae Smith, David Montgomery, JMO? It's close. It's close. Index says, maybe I'm uninitiated. When is the last time Aaron Rodgers gave us a rookie wide receiver with usable weeks? Yeah, I mean, to me, it's more. So the knock on Rodgers with the rookies has been he's always preferred the veterans, right? So what I would toss back to you is which veteran wide receiver? You think it's a Roman Wilson? Who is cucking Jeremy Bernard? Because all reports are he's going to be out there in 3 wide receiver sets with Pittman and DK Metcalf, right? So that it used to be like the specter of Alan Lazard, the Randall Cobb, those guys just chewing into the snaps of the rookie we thought was more talented. I don't know if that player exists on this current Steelers roster. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I understand that element, but I don't want a pattern match if the pieces aren't there to derail it. So I'm okay with being in on Jeremy at these prices, just knowing that the playing time should be there. But yes, if he calls up Alan Lazard tomorrow and he joins the Steelers, okay, I'll be concerned again for sure. We're about to pick at the 6-7 turn. We're definitely going to grab Hurts here with Devontae Smith. Would have been nice. I don't do a ton of Makai Lemon, but getting the double stack there could have been fun. We will grab Jalen Hurts with this first pick. I still love Hurts, man. Like getting Hurts at the 6-7 turn feels so good to me here. This is going to be a running back pick for me. Jalen Warren, Chuba Hubbard, Rhamondre. Rhamondre's been kind of the guy I've been gravitating to here. It's one of those things where if I feel like TreVeyon Henderson is overpriced and I want to try to take advantage of that beyond just being light on Hendo at the 4-5 turn, although he does slip to the middle of the 5th here, which that price starts to look a lot better once Montgomery, once Swift and stuff are off the board. But that said, I want to lean into grabbing some more Rhamondre, because if the Henderson thesis is derailed, if it gets off to a slow start as it did last year, it's going to be because Rhamondre is still a huge part of this offense. So Rhamondre here is my running back 3. I feel very indifferent about a lot of the wide receivers in this range. We're looking at QJ, Metcalf, Pierce, Sutton, Reed. I've done my fair share of DK Metcalf, of Cortland Sutton at 10.5%, Godwin at 10.5. But this is such a flat tier for me that I'm going to go ahead and grab Rhamondre. Tommy Jones says, Pete, do you think I can win BBM even though I will not be able to start drafting until late July, or will that be too late to win? One, Tommy, not to crush your spirit, but I don't think you can win BBM just for logistical reasons, because it's a contest with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of entries. And so your chances of winning are minuscule. However, at the heart of your question, I think what you're describing is a feature, not a bug. I think it will be easier to win Best Ball Mania this year if you draft late than if you draft early. We've talked about this for a good chunk of the offseason. The benefits of drafting early are when there are really mispriced ADPs and you are essentially able to build a super team early on that once the market gets more efficient, the ADPs tighten up, players are valued where they should be valued, then you can't draft that team again. This year, we have not had a ton of ADP movement. And generally, the big CLV hits that don't come from injuries come from rookies. And because we had a subpar rookie class, a rookie class without as many potential league winners and league winning profiles as years past, it meant that it was harder to accumulate a bunch of these CLV hits onto one team. There's some mini examples. There's some guys who have moved up a little bit, a round and a half. But the point is, I think if your portfolio is largely being drafted late July and August, you are in good shape. We've seen BBM winners come from all parts of the offseason calendar. We've seen June teams, we've seen July, we've seen August. I would bet, if I was forced to bet on such a thing, I would bet on the BBM winner having not been drafted yet. And I'm not just saying that as an influencer who's going to encourage you to keep drafting and not throw in the towel. But if the winner has been drafted already, I have not seen it on Twitter. I have not seen it yet. I'll let you know if I see the winner, though. Charlie, my teams with the most stacked CLV are from opening day of BBM. Absolutely. It used to be you had like a week or two to stack those teams. And in previous years, 2026, 2025, it basically was stack it up that first day, stack up that CLV, because then things are going to snap back into efficiency pretty quickly. All right, we are about to pick here at the 8-9 turn. I really like that I was patient at wide receiver, because now I'm in a sweet spot for some of these wide receiver picks I really like. And now I have to decide how I want to play this. We'll see what Tickosaurus does here. They go Jordan Addison. So I did think about this Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall tap. I'm not feeling quite behind at quarterback. I still have a Jared Goff out. I still have a Stroud out. I am going to take Xavier Worthy with one of these picks. And I think I might go Pearsall here. I think I'm going to double tap wide receiver with Worthy and Pearsall. This is kind of the sweet spot for me. I will lose out on Brock Purdy. I'm okay with that. I think the potential to get Goff, even if he doesn't come back, I have the Stroud outs there. I can always build out a backdoor stack with the tight end. I think my tendency there has been to lock up the second quarterback, but I'm trying to be a little bit more patient with it, especially when I like a couple of the wide receiver options. I feel like a lot of times my decision is made for me where I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't feel good about the Michael Wilson, Jacoby Myers in this range, but I do really like Worthy and Pearsall here. So we're going to double tap wide receiver. Here's the squad through 9 rounds. We have Jalen Hurts at quarterback. We have Gibbs, Montgomery, and Rhamondre at running back. We have Nico, Devontae Smith, Jamison Williams, Xavier Worthy, and Ricky Pearsall at wide receiver. I don't mind it. I don't mind it yet. We will see. I can't mess up this Gibbs team, right? We talked about it. You can't mess this up, Pete. Got to draft a good Gibbs team. Yeah, everybody loves the Purdy Ricky P double tap for sure. QBs are falling. That was part of the reason why I was willing to be a little bit more patient here. Go AZ Cards. Yes, I did click the BBM promo before this draft. It is mobile only from what I can tell. So you have to do it on mobile, but I did hit the start. I don't know if my camera is going to show you that, but yeah, I did hit the start on mobile. Yeah, you just go, if you guys haven't been to it on mobile, you go to the promos page. There's a ton of stuff in here. Rocket Boost, World Cup Boost, 50% MLB All-Star Boost. And then we have all the draft boosts here. Slow Puppy Challenge, BBM 7 Challenge, Eliminator Challenge, Fast Puppy Challenge. Judson says he's been trying to wait on QB2 a bit, been getting Shuck, Baker, Love, Goff, Willis range at QB2 all summer. And those are one of the kind of the soft skills with drafting, right? And it can be, I think in general, drafting continuously throughout the offseason is a positive, right? Because you get in the rhythm, you understand the movements, you get really familiar with the pockets of the draft board, what you can do, what you can't do. If there's one negative to it, is you get anchored to a specific draft landscape, say like, oh, I always got to reach for my quarterback. That's how I felt when I was doing those big board drafts and really getting my feet wet of, oh my God, everybody is going crazy for these quarterbacks. And then when things change and it's like, oh, people are being a little bit more patient with quarterbacks now, then it's maybe a little harder to change because you're a little bit more stubborn in how you approach the draft. So that would be one of the benefits if you are coming in new right now, that you can kind of be more reactive to the current environment as opposed to anchored to how things have been going. So Goff does go, which makes sense. He goes to the Amon-Ra St. Brown drafter who also took Laporta. So I'm not going to be able to get Goff. I will have a choice here if I want to go for Stroud. I don't think Stroud's coming back to, well, man, yeah, pick 142. That would be quite the reach for Stroud. I guess this is the question of how fast and loose do I want to play this? I think Aaron Jones is a pretty good pick for me here. At 120, he slips a little bit past ADP. I am going to grab Aaron Jones here. And now I kind of have a tough decision. Do I grab a quarterback or do I try to push it here? I think what we could do is take Baker. He does have the same bye week, or we could do Shuck. I'm gonna take Shuck here. So it's so funny because I was like, I can grab Stroud way ahead of ADP. By ADP, there is a chance he comes back to me at 144. If I were to pass on a quarterback here, though, I didn't want to reach for Stroud. So if I pass on a quarterback and I'm rolling one quarterback into the 12-13 turn, there is a chance that I have no more stacking options, and even the backdoor stacking options with the potential Bryce Young, Mendoza, Rodgers are looking a little sketchy. So I figure, let me just grab the second quarterback here. It'll take the pressure off of allowing Stroud to come back or not. And then with Shuck, there's stuff I can do with Juwan Johnson, with Kamara. There's ways to build out some backdoor stacks there. I would have really liked it if Kyler fell. Kyler goes at 118. That would have been a slam dunk pick, especially if I could have done like Kyler with Aaron Jones there. But that was a little tricky of a spot. And having Goff go and knowing there's a chance that the Jaden Higgins drafter takes Stroud, I wanted to just kind of give myself another out there. So you ultimately become what you hate, which is a naked Tyler Shuck drafter. Early on in Best Ball Mania drafting season. Although I will say, when people were taking naked Shuck, it was at like 107. So at least we're down to 121 here on Tyler Shuck. Go Easy Card says, I can't wait for training camp to hit, so it will force me to stop clicking the same guys. That's always one of the fun trends with when you're drafting regularly. You have the flavor of the week guy. I keep mentioning how I'm in my Jaden Blue era. You need to go through these different eras of players you really enjoy clicking late. Like I clearly went through a Tank Dell era. I need to be done with the Tank Dell era. I need to usher in the Jalen Knoll era. Carolina JP, first time getting to watch live in a long time. Let's have a day. Indeed, indeed. And you know what I need? For me to have a day to be able to land this plane, I need another coffee pour. TM is in the Darnell Washington era, and it might last all summer. That's the thing. You know, an era, you know, it could be a week, could be 3 weeks, could last the whole summer. Chris Riley says a chef's tasting menu of late round picks changes on the season. Amen, brother. That's how I am with music, with drinks, very seasonal. And I guess that's how I am with these picks as well. TD is in his Rashad Bateman era, and I need help getting out of it. Let me see. How can I help? You know what? My guy, Coach Speak Index, he had some bullish comments about Surratt recently. Maybe I can help you get out of that. Can I find the Surratt quote? I don't know if I can find it. I was just scrolling through the Discord there. But yeah, there's been some Surratt buzz. I feel like that's one of the most fun subplots. And look, Stroud did go. Stroud went to a team that doesn't have any Houston players. So I do feel good about locking up that second quarterback there, knowing that this run could happen. Baker, Malik Willis, Cam Ward, Stroud, Darnold, Jones all go. Now, the question is, would I have just preferred to pull up Stroud over Shuck, considering the correlation there? I am for sure going to grab, let's see here. I am going to grab Juwan Johnson with one of these. He's unlikely to make it back. It's a slight reach, but I have Juwan Johnson. I have no tight ends here. I'm going to grab Juwan Johnson with this first pick, so I do get the skinny stack there. Omar Cooper would make a ton of sense here. We could go with another tight end or continue pushing tight end. Let's do Omar Cooper. He gives us another option to draft my most drafted quarterback, Geno Smith. I still love this price here. Travis Hunter goes one pick before. Let's grab Omar Cooper Jr. here as our sixth wide receiver. So here's the squad through 13 rounds. Hurts and Shuck at quarterback. Gibbs, Monty, Rhamondre Stevenson, Aaron Jones at running back. Nico, Devontae Smith, Jamison Williams, Xavier Worthy, Ricky Pearsall, Omar Cooper at wide receiver, and tight end Jawan Johnson. So we're definitely looking at a 3 tight end build, and I might even get a little weird, a little 4 tight end curious. Who knows? Probably going to tack on a 5th running back. Wide receivers looking good. Nico, Devontae, Jamo, Worthy, Pearsall, Cooper. That's a good wide receiver room. No, please, come on. Now we're just doing bits. If we're talking about being in a Keon Coleman era, that one ain't happening, folks. I think there's a better chance that Brandon Ayuk happens than Keon Coleman at this point. Zach PR, today's promos have been great. Thanks for the heads up. Absolutely. Yeah, the best place, I think, to stay up to date on those is the Underdog Drafts account at Underdog Drafts on X. You can also get announcements like the Pug is live. This is a $12 to enter 3 max, 200K in prizes, 40K to first. And then, of course, the challenges there. That's the Underdog Drafts account if you want to keep tabs on that. GM Neil, he says, wow, Pete doing a best ball draft? Now we know best ball season has arrived. I know there's only so many sleeper mock drafts that I can stream before the people got antsy and said, Pete, let's see you in the best ball streets, right? And I said, all right, let's get back to my roots. Fantasy Football Garage says, Pete, help me understand the 80 Mitchell 100% drafted on the Jets versus Keon Coleman. Well, one of them has actually shown an ability to be good at the NFL level, while the other has been a perennial disappointment. But your point stands. I think there's better examples of that. I think a better example is Tank Dell versus Jalen Noel. Why is Tank Dell 100% drafted and Jalen Noel isn't? Those are kind of the better comps to me, where there's true ambiguity in that spot. But yeah, I'm just not doing the Keon Coleman thing. You can't make me. You can't make me do it. All right. Let's do the Sadiq thing. Sadiq falls here 5 picks past ADP. We took Omar Cooper. Let's go ahead and grab him. We need more tight end firepower here. We're going to bet on the Jets rookies. Now, this is an interesting spot here as far as we could go tight end. We could also pull up our 5th running back. This range, do I prefer Brian Robinson, Dylan Sampson? I think so, but I kind of want to make this bigger bet on the Saints, and I'm going to do it with Kamara here. I'm going to take Kamara ahead of ADP. It's basically a round ahead, but this gives me the Shuck, Kamara, and Jawan Johnson trio. I have the Omar Cooper, Kenyon Sadiq. If Geno comes back to me, we can entertain that. If not, no big deal. We can rock with a Hurts and Shuck. And then giving me Kamara here, a solid 5th. This is a pretty boomer-ass running back room. You get Gibbs. No one's going to have qualms with Gibbs. Then you go Monty, Rhamondre, Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara. The crowd goes wild. Let me say those names again. It was crickets when I said those names. I need you guys to all stand up and applaud. Let me try this again. David Montgomery, Rhamondre Stevenson, Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara. Everybody on your feet. Go, Peter! Wow, great running back room. Maybe we're going to have to pipe that in post. If I'm going to have you guys come here and be the live audience, I'm going to need you to show some enthusiasm when I draft David Montgomery, Rhamondre Stevenson, Aaron Jones, and Alvin Kamara, okay? Joe King, why isn't P. Ryan treated like an elite injury handcuff? I think the same reason Justice Hill isn't being treated like that. I think there's just really small. It's one of those things that's probably a small miss or a small hit, right? To use Ben Gretch's terminology. Just where he is as a rusher right now, it's very unlikely that he's going to get a full-blown bell cow role. I feel like with those guys, if an injury happened to a Derrick Henry, to a Chase Brown, you would see someone step in, whether it's someone from the practice squad, whether they sign someone from the free agency heap, who's going to come in and get 10 to 11 of the big back base carries. That would be my argument. Now, it's not to say I don't think those guys have a role on certain teams. I know you DraftKings bros can certainly get to those guys in rounds 19 and 20. But I just think it's the age-old, what do you win when you win with those guys? And the other thing with it is, because we've seen the team, specifically the Bengals, show a willingness to give Chase Brown a bell cow workload, you run the risk of both a 0 from Perine with basically no standalone value while Chase Brown's healthy, that even when he does step into a role, there's just not enough high value touches, specifically goal line carries, to really give him league winning, best ball winning upside. Maybe I'm giving him, not enough credit for what he could do, but he's not a player that I can see really making me regret fading him. The crowd didn't go wild. The crowd went to dinner at 4:30. All right, we have 3 more picks here. We have a 2-5-6-2 brewing. We definitely need another tight end, if not 2. I will take Geno Smith here if he falls. This is past ADP. I have the double stack. This is an easy click. I think these are 2 easy clicks here. I think we go Geno Smith and Dontavian Wicks. Let me actually think this through. Because I'm definitely, then I have to make the tight end my last pick. Tight end is already kind of wiped. The Wicks pick here with Hurts makes a ton of sense. I guess this entire tier is already pretty gross. I think I go Wicks and then just pick my poison at tight end 3. But getting the Hurts double stack here feels nice. We go Devontae Smith and Wicks. My third tight end is going to be gross. I think that's kind of the weak spot of this team, Juwan Johnson, Sadiq. But, getting back to Juwan Johnson, that was another one I was listening to the Establish the Edge guys talk about. And even regressing Juwan Johnson's target share because of the addition of Jordan Tyson, because they bring in Noah Fant and Oscar Delp in the draft, that you still have him at a target share that's massively undervalued as far as his ADP right now. Like, he was operating as their number 2 wide receiver. I believe it was 2 years ago. What did he finish? I think the stat was 3rd in points per game at the tight end position, if I have that correctly. So I think I just have to hang my hat on Juwan Johnson still being a big fixture of this team. I get the Sadiq breakout, and then I cobble together something at tight end 3. This could be a Charlie Kohler-ass team. That might be the downside here. But here's the squad before the final pick. A 3-5-7-2, Jalen Hurts, Tyler Shuck, Geno Smith, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Rhamondre Stevenson, Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara, Nico Collins, Devontae Smith, Jamo, Worthy, Pearsall, Omar Cooper, Dontavian Wicks, and then Juwan Johnson, Kenyon Sadiq. This is a funny team because the running back room is boomer as hell. And then there's so many slap picks here for the wide receivers. Jamo, very slap-coded. Worthy, the slappiest of codes. Omar Cooper, slap-coded. And Dontavian Wicks. Like, literally, I hear a seal noise barking whenever I select Dontavian Wicks. So the yin and the yang, the boomer and the slaps coming together to try to build a winning Best Ball Mania team. Pete loves slurping that Geno Reno. Apparently I do. But look, on teams where I get Omar Cooper as my wide receiver 6, Kenyon Sadiq as my tight end 2, and then Geno slides to pick 192. I mean, just to keep it simple, right? Like, if one of Sadiq or Cooper are smashing their ADP, like, Geno Smith is having a good year, right? Like, in what scenario is Klubnik leading any of these Jets pieces, including Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall and A.D. Mitchell, to anything close to a high advance rate for our purposes in best ball? I mean, those things seem directly tied together as far as their success in their high-end outcomes. So yeah, I do probably have too much Geno Smith. I hear you, but I don't think passing on him in this instance would have been smart. Oh my goodness. Look at this quarterback room from the 7 hole. Holy cow. They go Jared Goff to get that Laporta and Amon-Ra stack. And then they rip off 3 quarterbacks, Brissett, Shedeur Sanders, and Carson Beck. Incredible. I don't know if I've seen the Brissett Beck move yet. Respect. All right, here's the question. Do we go Darnell Washington, who would be my favorite tight end pick back here, or do we do the Eli Stowers thing and rip it in on the Eagles? Now, the downside with Stowers is the reporting on him has been pretty bad. It sounds like he's set up for a redshirt year. It's probably a 0 unless Dallas Goedert gets hurt. I don't think I can probably take on that risk in this room. I think there are rooms where I have Fannin, Jawan Johnson, and then I go with a Stowers. But I took Dontavian Wicks last round. I think I need a little bit more concrete production. And yes, we're splitting hairs at this range of the draft board. All of these guys could have a ton of volatility with their playing time. But when push comes to shove, I feel more confident that Darnell Washington is going to be on the field running routes than I do Eli Stowers. And Darnell Washington is just a grown-ass man. Let's be real. How do you Jatavian Sanders people still exist? I swear to God, I cannot do a stream without one person suggesting that I select Jatavian Sanders at the end of the stream. And what you're doing is you're like enabling me. I used to be a Jatavian Sanders addict. Do not have me relapse on my Jatavian Sanders. Also, if you're going to have any success in tempting me with Jatavian Sanders, I got to have Bryce Young on the team. I am not raw dogging a one-off Jatavian Sanders on July 13th, 2026. But I respect you. I respect the devotion, the steadfastness to making Jatavian Sanders try to happen. All right, let's see how this team turned out. My 80th Best Ball Mania draft. I thought it was my 80th. Is this going to update to 80? There it is. Yeah, there it is. Today is July 13th. We drafted a 3-5-7-3. This is, what show is this? This is BBB. I have to get these naming conventions right in my info tab, because if I mess them up, one, you guys will let me know. Someone will be like, Peter, you put the order wrong of the build type versus the show. And it angers you guys. And it also is frustrating to me because I get anal with it as well. So we got to get these right. Let's call this a Philly, New Orleans, New York Jets. Oh, we were able to fill it all in there. Okay, now that the team is labeled, let's zoom out. Let's see, the big drama here was I finally get a Jahmyr Gibbs team. Did we land the plane or did we drop the baby? You guys tell me here as I recap it. Jalen Hurts, Tyler Shuck, Geno Smith. That's 3 quarterbacks if you're counting at home. 5 running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Rhamondre Stevenson, Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara. We started at the steakhouse. We ended at the Sizzler. It is what it is. Nico Collins, Devontae Smith, Jamison Williams, Xavier Worthy, Ricky Pearsall, Omar Cooper, Dontavian Wicks. Come on. The crowd might have been silent for the running backs, but you are on your feet giving me a standing ovation for those wide receivers. Once more for the people in the back. Nico Collins, Devontae Smith, Jamison Williams, Xavier Worthy, Ricky Pearsall, Omar Cooper, Dontavian Wicks. And then the tight end room. Jawan Johnson, my first tight end at pick 144, Kenyon Sadiq at 168, and Darnell Washington at 216. That's a thin-ass tight end room. This was probably a team to be for tight end curious on. But I like it. Hurts doubled up with Devontae in Wicks, Shuck with Kamara in Jawan Johnson, Geno with Cooper in Sadiq. What do we think? What do we think? The crowd goes mild. Yes. No NYJ. That could read as New Orleans, New York Jets, or as Trevor says, no New York Jets is a great draft strategy. Well played. Well played. What? You guys think the baby was dropped here? This poor baby? You guys are a tough crowd. Look, I'm willing to be hard on myself. I think this is a good team. I think this is a good team. PyDev, I've got to be honest, I hate everything about this team. I need some more concrete criticisms. Is it just the Jets thing? Everybody hates. I guess Colton likes it. I'm open to legitimate criticisms of this team. I like a good bit as well, but I want to know the tight end room is weak for sure. Probably need a fourth tight end here. The Wicks pick was kind of a stacking slappy pick of just, man, sure would be nice to get another pair with Hurts here. The other 2v2 we talked about at the top was basically Jeremiyah Love and Devontae Adams versus David Montgomery and Devontae Smith. That's another one where you could have gone in that other direction. Here's the thing, though, with the tight end room, like if I look across my three positions at the end of any draft, if there is one position I'm okay with it feeling weak, it's tight end. It's absolutely tight end. Colton says I'm an audio listener, so I don't even remember who you drafted, but I'm fucking with it, Pete. Thank you. Thank you. This has been a really sobering reminder with how people actually engage with this content, because then Cross Country says, I've been vaguely listening in the background. This is it. New rule. New rule. You're not allowed to weigh in on the viability or the success of this team unless you have been listening intently, unless you have been following along pick by pick. No more multitaskers weighing in. I know it's Monday at 10:48 a.m. Eastern, and that some of you are at work. Some of you are being parents. You have things to do, but I need your full undivided attention if you are going to criticize me. That's all I ask of you. I ask for the occasional standing ovation, the occasional cheer for my picks. It's so funny. My toddler, April, she's 3.5, and she is really starting to get a taste of for getting validation on basically any task. Almost everything she does is met with, Dad, will you cheer for me? Will you cheer for me? So it's putting the last piece on the puzzle. And I literally have to get up, woo, April, standing ovation, finish the last bite of broccoli, woo, standing ovation, pull your pants up after going to the bathroom. So I think I am just in my era right now of both giving and needing to receive cheers and applause for the most basic of tasks. So I appreciate you guys indulging me, because I've been doing it a lot for my daughter lately. And sometimes I just need that from you guys. Even if you don't mean it, even if in your heart of hearts you don't mean it, I just need you to say, good job, Pete. We know you're a redraft, bro. We know you don't normally do this, but good work out there. You tried. You did real good. You did real good. Thank you, Josh. Josh says, I'm standing for you right now, Pete. You just can't see it. You just can't see it. If you guys are just tuning in now, we got 556 people watching live here on Best Ball Breakfast. I know some of you thought it was called Redraft Breakfast, Managed Fantasy Football Breakfast, but it is Best Ball Breakfast. Make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. Hit the like button here. We are going to be buckled in for 3 more hours, 3 more drafts. We'll have Adam Levitan joining me here in another 10 minutes. Then we'll have Sam Sherman at noon, Pat Kerrane at 1 Eastern. And make sure you guys pull up the app, the Underdog Dog app today. We have lots of challenges, a slow puppy challenge. You know what I should do? I should do these right now. I should do these right now. What better time to knock these out while with you guys? So the slow puppy challenge, I'm going to hit start, draft 2, get 1. So let's enter 2 right here. 2 for 10. Boom. All right. Slow puppy challenge. We just did the BBM challenge. Eliminator challenge. We got to do 4. I actually registered for 4 this morning, or 15 this morning, because that's my usual pace to try to get all of these maxed. I've mapped it out, but I did not realize there was a promo coming. So we're going to do 4 more right here. 4, 8 hours. I hit start on the eliminator challenge. Bang. Challenge started. Let's enter 4 more of these. And the fast puppy challenge, I can't do that one because I'm not going to draft fast puppies right now. But look at that. The second I entered the slow puppies, I already get the notification. You earned a slow puppy bonus entry. Head to the promo tab to claim your reward. So there you go. It says slow bonus added. Then you head over to the slow puppy here, and we will add an entry here with our free entry. Boom. It's as easy as that, folks. As easy as that. Any World Cup sweats left? No, unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. I did have those teams that I drafted with Dave on After Dark. We drafted a couple on Off and on the Clock, but I am out. I am out there. Big Sonny, are you a Troy Franklin or a Pat Bryant type of guy? That offends me. I feel like you just told on yourself. Having not watched so many of my streams over the past 2 months where I click Pat Bryant, I think I will have 0% Troy Franklin. I will have 0% Troy Franklin. I think it's a lot different from, going back to the Jalen Knoll versus Tank Dell thing, where it does feel like there can be a winner there at wide receiver 3. The issue with the Troy Franklin thing is you now have him. He's off the field for 3 wide receiver sets. Like, it's going to be Sutton. It's going to be Waddle. It's going to be Bryant. And then even if he does get in there in the rotation, they're still going to use Marvin Mims in some capacity. And so now you're essentially rotating wide receiver 4. I'm excited about the Broncos offense, but Troy Franklin feels like an unnecessary 0 to take on. Sure, if there's an injury to one of these guys, but we saw it play out last year. Like Troy Franklin started the year as the starter. He had 7, 8, 9 weeks. And then we saw Pat Bryant start to come on. Pat Bryant usurped him in the playoffs. He had that drive in the divisional round game against the Bills. He had 6 targets in the first 2 drives, then got hurt. And who came in? It was mainly Marvin Mims. So we've kind of seen how this plays out. Sean Payton has tipped his hand on how he feels about Troy Franklin. He was essentially a placeholder in the offense until he got someone he was more comfortable with. And not only is he more comfortable with Pat Bryant, he's more comfortable with Jalen Waddle, who they bring over. So I don't see the vision for Troy Franklin anymore. Ben Weaver gifting 10 memberships in this economy? Thank you, Ben. Very nice of you. If you received a membership here from Ben, be sure to thank him. There's a few different things you guys can get with your memberships. Obviously, access to the Best Ball Bash. That's a show I do every Thursday at noon Eastern. If you're a YouTube member, you hop in the chat. You do the hashtag. If your name comes up when I spin the wheel, I send you the link, and you come on stream and draft a team with me. I pay for it. We split any of the winnings. Very fun time every Thursday at noon Eastern. And then depending on which level your membership is, if you are part of the Best Ball Value Hounds tier, you get access to all of the After Dark shows. So once a week, I do a premium show just for YouTube members at that level. This past week, I had Lord Reeves on, Rich Rebar, very fun show. The week before that, we had BBG week. Best Ball Guy was on. Did a special premium Lulz episode with Brick75, Ben Gretsch, Pat Doherty. A fun rotating crew of guests there. Evergreen conversations too. So if you become a member, it's not like you're not able to take advantage of that backlog. All kinds of fun evergreen conversations there in the After Dark archives. Thank you, Ben. Very nice of you. Looks like we have some recipients here of the Ben Weaver gifting spree. Members also have access to Pete's Jets Discord. Yes. It's where we talk about our plans to lock up Geno Smith in every single draft. Unreal. Unreal. As far as other things here before Levitan joins us, my schedule this week. If you guys missed it last week, we had multiple challenges for So You Think You Can Tout. It was streaming week last week. The 5 remaining touts joined Davis Mattek on his stream. I believe that was last Tuesday. Then they joined me on a special edition of Best Ball Breakfast last Wednesday. They were the host. I was the guest. And then they each did a solo stream on their own channel. So there were 3 components to the challenge. I talked with Davis Mattek on Friday. We talked through all of it. We judged the streaming week and made some tough decisions. And that episode, my hope is it'll come out later this week. I have recorded it all. It is off to the editors. They are hard at work on it. And I'm really excited for you guys to see this episode as we enter the final home stretch. But if you want to get prepared for that episode, I definitely recommend checking out all of that content, specifically their solo streams. I know a lot of you guys will see the Davis Mattek stream, the Best Ball Breakfast. I retweeted all of their solo streams and some really good stuff in there from those guys. All of them kind of approaching it from different angles, playing to their strengths, also realizing how hard solo streaming is. There were some, technical difficulties for all of those guys to a certain extent. So really good stuff from all of them. Very happy with how streaming week went. And yeah, we're getting down to the nitty gritty there with So You Think You Can Tout. Appreciate this from Shady Advice. After Darks are some of the best content out there. Look at that stamp of approval. I think you're due for an After Dark appearance here, Shady. It's been a while since we've done a show. Martin becomes a YouTube member here. He says, doesn't feel right not being subbed to Pete's channel. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that. People wondering, Judson says, small circles with Levitan or head-to-head. We're going to have to hash this out when Levitan jumps on here. I will say, no matter what, we will be moving to the small circles, the small squares, I should say. We made this overlay just for Levitan. And look, I already told you guys this. I'm taking the L on the initial overlay. It was too big. This was the old one, right? These two people said the circles were too big. The reason for the big circles is because when I make clips, when I do shorts, having the bigger circle, the bigger video box for the guests, it makes for better clips. When it's really small like this, it's harder. But I'm streaming drafts. The people want to see the board. I'm open to feedback. I'm open to constructive criticisms. Adam Levitan and you guys, you won. I capitulated. We're going smaller squares now. It is what it is. It is what it is. This is going to be draft number 81 with Levitan. We're going to have to figure out, are we drafting together? Are we drafting head to head? We'll have to figure that out. It's up to Levitan. I got to see what kind of mood he's in this morning. You never know. You never know. Mr. Mutt says, these eliminators are slow drafts with Pete people. Pete, you are already on the clock at pick 5 on one you just entered. They think this is the fastest slow draft challenge. Yeah, I will say if there's one group of people I have no sympathy for in life whatsoever, it's people who enter a slow draft and get upset at other people for drafting slow. If you want to do a draft quickly, I have this novel, groundbreaking idea for you. Enter a fucking fast draft. Can you believe that? The crowd goes wild. Wait, I hadn't thought of that yet. I have a very strict schedule for my slow drafts. When I am done with Best Ball Breakfast, I will come on here and I will go through all of my slow drafts. I have set this up meticulously on my calendar. I know when I am making these picks, I will not be a slave to the slow draft machine. Levitan, there's people out here that are mad at me for taking too much time on my slow drafts. Can you believe these people?
Are you allowed 8 hours to pick?
I am. I'm allowed the full 8 hours, just like everybody else. And they want me to go. They want me to be making picks every fucking second.
Why wouldn't you play within the rules? The rules state that you're allowed 8 hours for a pick.
That's me, man. Hey, you're preaching to the choir, but I think sometimes they don't want to hear it from me, but a respected voice like you, someone who understands playing within the rules, you get it.
I mean, they're going through the same thing with the World Series of Poker Player of the Year thing now. Guys are like gaming the system to win Player of the Year by like purposefully busting stuff. And I don't know. It's like, you know, max late regging and playing 3 tournaments at once and not even trying to like win, just trying to get Player of the Year points. But that is within the system. It's within the regulations of the game that we're playing. So yeah, I don't. Yeah. I mean, people are like watching your draft and being like, you're on the clock with 6 hours left. Is that what they're doing to you?
Yes. Yeah. Because they're in like one slow draft. I entered a bunch of these. And I have it set up where it's like, I do a batch of picks in the morning to make sure I don't time out. I do a batch of picks in the afternoon and a batch of picks in the evening. And I'll always make sure I don't time out. And I also don't have to be making picks all the time. I do it in a 15-minute window 3 times a day. And that's the game. That's what it is. I'm sorry. I'm not speeding it up for you.
Yeah, I don't get that. I do agree with this one take, though. If you're on the turn, the 1-2 or the 12-13 turn, you can't make one pick and then take another 8 hours. You have to make both picks.
Absolutely. I double tap those because what happens is I'm doing a bunch of them. And if I make it, it just puts it back to the bottom of the active drafts and I clear out my active drafts. So yes, I will not be guilty of that. It is funny. I was going to ask you about the World Series of Poker thing because it seemed like the controversy, they added the shot clocks to the main event and it was the first year they had done them. Well, you're shaking your head. You don't like them pulling it out of thin air.
What? You can't do it. Don't give me a heart attack. Don't get my blood pressure going.
I want to.
At 9 o'clock in the morning on a Monday again. But once you announce the rules, it is a different tournament once you have time banks. Like you can stall for fucking 15, 20 minutes on day 3. I'm playing against a bunch of freaking morons and I only get to play 3 hands an hour. Meanwhile, you get to day 6 and they're like, oh, by the way, we're going to add shot clocks. And now everybody gets to see a million more hands. And not only that, like tons of guys that are left have experience with shot clock and time extensions, and tons of guys don't. Like I have 0 experience with time extensions and shot clocks. I'd be fucking furious if without putting that in the structure before the tournament, they added that, especially when you're playing for $10 million. Like each decision is like 200K of EV. And they're like, oh, by the way, we're going to make you decide in 20 seconds now. What the fuck are they thinking?
Because isn't the thing, it's every year people complain about the tanking and slowing down the pace of play. But then instead of instituting a uniform set of rules that everyone knew heading into it, they just instituted it on the fly when it became an issue again.
Exactly. And like they can't institute it on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, because there's too many tables. They don't have enough like dealers who know how to handle the time bank and the time extension stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's just a crazy, crazy, crazy decision. I don't know why they did it. I don't even think it's better for TV. Like I get like a 15-minute tank is really bad for TV, but there's, 4, 5, 6 tables going on at once. I don't think that's bad.
How sick is it that Deeb's making this run?
I don't know how, because like he can't even write a sentence. You know what I mean? Like literally can't spell, can't has like no grammar. Like, and when people write like that on Twitter, it's a tip for everyone out there on Twitter. Like if you are making tons of punctuation mistakes and spelling mistakes, I'm immediately going to think that you're like really low IQ. Like, I'm sorry. Like it's just what I'm going to think, but not Deeb. He is absolutely incredible despite seeming to be struggling in many other areas of his life.
Well, he's an interesting, and I feel like where poker's at right now, right? Because we had the evolution of all the European crushers, the Simbros, the solvers, all of them, masking their face, just essentially being robots. And they did have a ton of success. But then you have guys like Deeb who are fluent in so many different poker types, always in contention for player of the year. The fact that some of these guys just from pure, and I'm not saying Deeb hasn't studied, I'm sure he has, but just being more of just pure experience of I've seen every situation a million times and that's still good enough to compete and be the best. I think that's cool for the state of poker.
And it's similar to the DFS meta, I'm sure Deeb would say, my brain is the sim, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
And it's similar to DFS. There's a lot of guys that seem to be winning. Like it's hard to really tell who's winning and who's not, but there's other guys that are playing with no solver stuff whatsoever, like Jesse Lonis and Mizrachi. And I don't know, there's tons of guys playing like that now. I don't know that works on like the normal poker circuit, but at the World Series of Poker, that can definitely work. It's different for sure.
Yeah, we'll be following that for sure. I think we were down to 21 now, and they're playing down to the final table today. I want to say.
I'm so pathetic. I have like no sweats or anything, but I was like watching because it's on ESPN Plus. I was like watching last night. I couldn't. I was up way too late, like just watching these randoms that I don't even know, but it is like so compelling. Like it reminded me of when I first, when poker first came on TV. Like it's actually super compelling.
Well, and that's the thing I think for us, right? There's this nostalgia element from having watched it back in the day and watching guys like Dutch Boyd and Antonio Esfandiari and all the characters, and it like brings back those emotions, even if it's not the same. That's why Deeb is fun, because he's a character and he takes shots, and you're like, what's he gonna say next?
I gotta say, as someone who I don't do like commentating, but does like the public whatever stuff, like a player to like public stuff. Nick Schulman and Ali Najad are absolutely incredible. Like they are so, obviously Nick is like incredibly knowledgeable, but they are so funny and like they just get it. I mean, I don't know if they have like Emmys for ESPN Plus streaming or something, but those guys should win it for sure.
It's rare, like to have someone like Schulman who is that good as a commentator, but also just an absolute crusher himself, and to be able to see the board in the way he does, but then articulate it in a really simple way that the audience can digest, who hasn't played a million hands of poker. Like he is a special talent for that.
Yeah, for sure. He should win it.
All right, Adam, let's decide here. Do you want to draft together? You want to draft against each other? Where do you want to draft? What are we going to do today?
Are you going to use the queue if we draft together or no? Yes,
I will. I will use the queue for you.
Okay. I'm happy to draft together then.
Yeah. Are you gonna show me some grace? Are you gonna show me some patience if I maybe forget to do it once? Like this is a give and take here, brother.
No, we're gonna have to use the queue on even starting in round 1. We're gonna be using the queue. Starting, if you're not using, there you go. Thank you. Yeah, just go ahead and put the whole every player.
I would hate for you to feel unprepared through the first 20 picks here. I will say, Adam, good news. We draw the 105, which means we're not on the turn. We'll have a little more time to talk things through here. Can we get a good draft under our belt? Can we just a joint draft? You and I come together to draft a good team.
I have an actual question for you. How often are you taking CMC at 5, if ever?
I think 0. I think I'm always taking whichever of the remaining receivers are there.
Yeah. So I've been too, like lately the thought in my head, if you wanted to get overweight CMC versus JSN, the argument would be if CMC stays healthy, he will be like a top 3 pick, a top 3 fantasy player for sure. Like there's absolutely 0 doubt. On JSN, he loses Kubiak. I think there's gonna be some regression on the offense and the offensive line. Like I love JSN, but I don't think it's crazy if you wanted to say, hey, I want to get overweight CMC in round 1. Because I'm a ball knower, but that's not really the way I'm playing it in the early rounds this year. But I don't think it's crazy. I guess it's just what I wanted to put out there.
On the JSN bear case, anything with all this Rashid chatter about using him way more, or do you think he's completely isolated from?
No, I think it's really hard to sustain a 34% target share like JSN had last season. He had multiple games. I mean, like I don't have it in front of me. Maybe 5-6 games with over 50% of the targets. So like, yeah. I'm fine with
cool with Jason. Yeah. But as we take him, let's keep building the bear case.
Yeah. Like it is really hard to sustain a 34% target share for a game, let alone a season. You know what I mean? So like there's definitely room for regression there. I think there's room for regression on Darnold's efficiency. Like they ran the ball so much last year and it set Darnold and JSN up. I mean, JSN's incredible. I'm really not trying to say bad things. I just think between CMC, I think it's closer than maybe CMC and JSN. It's a closer decision than people are giving it credit for, I think.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good point. It's good to zoom out when we get so fixed into these tiers. It's like Gibbs and Bijan, although Chase goes 102 here, but then it's Chase, Puka, JSN, and we just do that over and over again. And I think you make a good point. Like the reason CMC is the 106 and not the 102 is just because we're worried he's going to get hurt, right? Like that's the only reason.
I don't see any. I mean, like if we don't have CMC projected full, like, and we don't often do this. We are projecting CMC for like some reduction on workload, not because we think he's going to get workload in game, just for injury risk. If we were projecting CMC full, he would for sure. I mean, I shouldn't say for sure. I think he would project as our 101.
Well, I guess then the other anti thing about CMC, even if you projected a full season of health, is people say, hey, the rushing efficiency just massively dipped. Yeah. And is it just saying he's still so valuable as a wide receiver, it doesn't even matter?
Exactly. He had somebody just tweeted this morning, he had more PPR points receiving than Saquon did overall. Like, you know, he runs more routes than a receiver. I mean, he runs these kind of choice routes. Who do we have in the queue right now, by the way?
And I am going to refresh and get the ETR ranks in here in a second, but we have Chase Brown, Devon Achane, AJ Brown, Drake London, Brock Bowers, Nico Collins, 2 picks away here. We started with JSN here. So the running backs have basically gotten wiped unless you like Love, and then it's a wide receiver or you pull up Bowers here if you're liking that.
Yeah, so this is the other reason to consider CMC is so that you can get these running back wide receiver starts instead of wide receiver starts. You know, I think on DraftKings, I'm totally fine wide receiver. But again, the argument for CMC would be here. I'm fine with AJ Brown here or Brock Bowers. I think both are going to have really, really good years.
All right, let's have some fun. Let's do a Bowers here. We'll grab Bowers. We'll start JSN. I agree with you having that flexibility for which way to go, knowing that the good running backs are pretty much off the board here. I will say I've felt a lot better about the running back options in the late 4th and early 5th. Like that whole tier of the Bucky, Judkins, Tuten, they're now reliably in the middle of round 5. So I felt a little less of the pressure to get the 2 early. So I don't mind these builds.
Yeah, I think you probably like Tuten and Judkins more than me. But yeah, if you like those guys, then you can do more of these kind of starts, I think. If you like the Tuten, TreVeyon, Judkins tier there.
Yeah, I get. Are you you're probably Swift, Monty, you're more on board with in that range?
I mean, I don't even love any of those guys. That's why I'm trying to take more wide receiver through there, especially on DraftKings. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I get the case for like Judkins. Why do you have multiple boards up, by the way?
Well, I'll get to it in a second, Levitan. I do have the rankings here loaded. We have Kerrane go ahead. Love does come off the board. So we could pull up like a Breece or a Javonte, or we could grab Olave, Zay Flowers, Igbuka.
Yeah, I think Breece.
Yeah. And that's ahead. So you guys are at 34 in the rankings here. Obviously kind of a structural thing. Or are you also higher than ETR with Breece?
Yeah, we haven't really moved on Breece. The market's just gone crazy on Breece. I mean, I thought we were pretty solid on Breece, but I think more people are getting more running back thirsty, and that's pushed Breece up some. I like Breece a lot. Like, I think he's really strong, like first running back pick here. I actually really like our start, given that we got Breece here.
All right, Judson says standing ovation for Pete and Adam getting along well through 2 picks. Just not so fast because these first few rounds are the easy ones. You know, the options are fairly limited here. Just wait until the decisions get hard before I forget to use the queue. But I do have the ETR ranks in here now, so we got a little bit of a safety net. We're okay.
Somebody put a question in chat. What does the green badge mean? Do I even want to know what the green badge means? I mean, how pathetic is the green badge?
I'll tell you how pathetic it is. It means that I drafted 20,000 drafts, Adam. Don't laugh.
Does that include does that include dailies? Like if you do like what's it called during the season? Battle Royale.
It includes those. And that's why I was getting like too small shamed by the NBA bros because they all auto draft, right? Like they'll do 100 of these. And so their numbers are crazy compared to mine. So I think we need to segment this out. Like who are they best ball drafts? Are they dailies? Are you auto drafting these or hand building these?
Yeah, I think I have a black badge. Does that mean that I have sex or is the sex reserved for only the no badgers?
I believe if you have an account on Underdog, it just means that you're not having sex. So I think what's the badge? It's just the levels of how little sex you're having. Actually, it's your chances for future sex. So you have a slightly higher chance of future sex than me, but still probably not going to happen. Okay, Adam, we start with Breece Hall, JSN, and Brock Bowers here. A rainbow flop positionally here. By ranks, Javonte, Garrett Wilson, Devontae, Loveland, McLaurin, Neighbors, Swift here. By ADP, the only other ones in the books, Burden, Cam Skattebo, Waddle. Who are you gravitating to at 4-8?
Yeah, my favorite would be Garrett Wilson. He's gone, but I don't know how you feel.
No, he's still here.
He gone? I can't tell, but no, he's still there. I don't know how you feel about Breece at these prices, like 3-4 rather than 2-3. I think it's a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely some issues, I think, with taking Garrett and Brees on the same team. I would not take Loveland with a Bowers start. It would probably be McLaurin and then get into the Jayden for me.
Yeah, I mean, two pretty big falls here by ADP, Garrett Wilson and Neighbors. I mean, Garrett Wilson's a smash at this price, I think, at 44. Where have you been at on Neighbors? Wilson goes. So who do you want here?
It would be McLaurin for me, just because I think McLaurin is a little bit too cheap and Jayden Daniels is a lot too cheap. And so I think that, like, you know, like setting up those stacks now, I think makes sense. Yeah,
and we like Jayden at 68. That's like almost the sweet spot there too. So we could set ourselves up for that stack.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing with Neighbors? We had kind of the report from Ronan a week or so ago.
Yeah. I don't think much has changed. I think he's like probably 50-50 to start the season on PUP. You know, I think late in round 4 here is where I start to consider him. If we had more wide receiver help, I might have considered him over McLaurin, especially in BBM, where like you're going to need a super team to get through those 1 of 12s, 1 of 16s in the playoffs. So yeah, I think here in the late 40s, I think it's fine. Obviously you could take a 0, you know, but I think if you're playing to win, to get first place in this, Neighbors in the late 40s is fine.
On McLaurin, is there any free agent addition to the Commanders that would give you pause on McLaurin at this price, or is he completely insulated from adding a number?
No, I think Diggs we'd probably have a little dock on McLaurin if Diggs signed.
All right, we're about to pick here. We have Devontae Adams falling, Swift falling, which seem like good options. JMO also in the mix here by rank. DJ Moore, Watson. The next running back after Swift would be Price.
Yeah, I think given our structure, I would go Swift here. I think Solver's recommending Devontae just because we have such a outlier high rank on Devontae, and I do think he's a good pick. But given our structure, I think Swift is the pick.
Yeah, let's do it. It is hard. Like when I see, we always talk about ADP value and rankings value, and anytime Adams slides past ADP, and I'm just like, this is such a massive rankings value. It is hard to pass on him here, but we get Swift at a discount. And like you said, we kind of played a little fast and loose with running back early. And this was the spot we talked about. Hey, do you like the running backs in the 5th that give you the green light to go with a Brock Bowers in round 2? I think we kind of did that here with Swift.
Yeah. What's the ADP gap these days between like Swift and Tuten went ahead of Swift? Yeah. You know, it's not that I love Swift and I like Tuten. There's just, yeah, it's really interesting. This range of running back is like really interesting to me. I've been struggling to like really get a strong take on it mostly.
I will say, I think I'm ready to get back. You know, I just took Rhamondre in my first draft. I've been mostly fading Henderson late 4th. He is routinely now falling to middle of the 5th. I think once he gets closer to Price, it starts to really make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can make such a good case for Tuten and TreVeyon to both just go nuts. It's just, there's also outcomes where they're just not that good, or their coaches don't like them, or they fumble. You know what I mean? There's just like a lot of downside scenarios for TreVeyon and Tuten. I do think David Montgomery could touch the ball. Like, it's going to be the most boring, painful 350 touches, but David Montgomery legit could touch the ball 350 times this year.
Yeah. Yeah. The Henderson and Tuten stuff, right? It's like, it feels very hard to imagine them being high advance rate players without an injury. That I really does feel like you are mining for the bell cow workload weeks 15 through 17. Like, that's the thesis of the play, because we know if they have that they have, pod winning upside. But man, like, I feel like you have to be really intentional with the team in the running back rooms you build around them to actually get them there.
Yeah.
So here we go, Levitan. We got the 2 running backs, Breece Hall, DeAndre Swift. We have JSN, Terry McLaurin, and Brock Bowers. I will put Jayden Daniels in the queue. Parker Washington, Metcalf, our other solver Rex, Pollard, the guy Rhamondre we were just kind of talking about here. Jayden, obviously a smash if we get him. Otherwise, we're probably looking at a running back or wide receiver.
Yeah, can I see the running backs?
Yeah, we're looking at Pollard, Stevenson, Chuba, Rico. Ooh, Jayden's here. Easy smash.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a no-brainer. It was an interesting pick if Jayden went, just because, it's not that I love Tony Pollard, but he might have been the right pick there just because the running back tiers.
Yeah, and I was just checking my my solver combos there, I actually don't have a ton of Jayden with McLaurin. I haven't really gotten a ton of McLaurin in general, and I've been doing a lot of the Jayden Daniels backstacks there with Antonio Williams, Chig, Rachaad White, etc. So getting some of that premium Jayden Terry. I mean, playing DFS last year, I mean, how many weeks did the Jayden and Terry stack just hit in a massive way?
The 2 years ago, you mean?
2 years ago. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was insane. I mean, he ran so hot on touchdowns that year, but yes, I do think the back stack is more susceptible to the Diggs stuff. Like if Diggs signs in Washington, the back stacks will look worse. The McLaurin stuff will still be fine, but the back stacks with Antonio Williams and Chig and those guys will look worse if Diggs signs, obviously.
1-2-2-1. Jayden Daniels stacked up with Terry. We have JSN and Bowers up top, filled in the running backs with Breece Hall and Swift here. Dude, I feel like I see Parker Washington come off the board. I mean, is anything happening on fantasy football Twitter or beat reporter Twitter other than Jags wide receiver discourse? I feel like it's all I see.
I'm so tired of it. I'm just taking Trevor Lawrence and be done with it. But yes, we need to address the queue here badly.
The queue is set, brother. DK
but we can
Metcalf.
just look at wide receiver and running. Let me see wide receiver.
All right. You got DK Metcalf, Alec Pierce, Jordan Addison, Cortland Sutton. The running backs here, Rhamondre, Chuba, Rico Dowdle, Jalen Warren. We are on deck. Anyone you want to talk through here?
Yeah, I think Rhamondre would be the pick for me. I think this is the last of the last call for solid running back. And, there's some outcomes where Rhamondre, I don't think Rhamondre is going away at all. You're the New England guy. What do you think?
I hate being positioned as the New England guy here, but it's going to happen, right? April's going to go to school. She's going to start rooting for the Patriots with her friends, and I'm going to be forced to be a New England guy. But yeah, no, I took Rhamondre in my draft this morning, and I was just talking through, hey, if you're hesitant on Hendo, if you're spooked, it's because Rhamondre is going to be a big factor for the whole season. If that part of the thesis is true, he's a really good pick at 77.
Yeah, I agree. And I always feel like I get this Rhamondre, Pollard, Jalen Warren, Rico stuff a lot, just because I feel like that's the last call for running backs that I'm okay with, and then it starts to get into more. I like some running backs later, but it gets way thinner very quickly.
One thing I'm curious, I wrote about this in the Fantasy Life newsletter the other day. Someone, I think it was the account Football Insights, posted some aggregated offensive line ranks. And it was kind of a sobering thing for me with the Pollard stuff because he had the Titans as a bottom 2 offensive line in the league. I know you guys will have the Brandon Thorne stuff here soon as well. Any concern with that? It's like you have a team that could be a negative game scripts. They have Spears, who's a pass catching back. They add Singleton. If the offensive line's bad, if Cam Ward doesn't make a leap, this could be a disaster of a season for Pollard.
Yeah, for sure. Of course. I mean, he had 3 good games all last year. They came out of the stone cold blue at 1% in DFS. It's for sure. But I would not take Pollard in redraft. In best ball, getting 7 or 8 points a week from pick 73, it can mean something, but I would not be taking Tony Pollard in redraft.
For sure. And I think the thing that just kind of crystallized for me of this range, you see the 4 running backs go off the board in round 7. Pollard, we took Stevenson, Chuba, Warren. I guess I'm just gravitating to Stevenson being a cut ahead of these guys. And maybe that's too much like IKB, but he's the one I feel best about.
Well, he's in the best offense for sure.
Yeah.
Let's go. Can we address the queue, please?
I would love to address the queue with you, sir. I'm going to put the queue in based on ranks: Rico, Kraft, Laporta, Corum, Brock, Godwin, Worthy, Wilson. Quarterback stuff, I don't see much. And I assume we don't want to do Kraft or Laporta with Bowers at this point.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. So let's take those guys out. Let's take Brock out. So we're looking at running back, wide receiver: Rico, Corum, Worthy, Wilson, Jacoby Myers, Pittman, Dobbins. 1 pick away. Who catches your eye? Corum, Worthy, Wilson, Jacoby, Pittman, Dobbins.
Yeah. God, I can't with this Q thing. Corum's fine, I guess. I don't know. What do you think?
Wait, you can't with this Q thing. You asked me to set the Q. I perfectly set the Q.
I misspoke. I can't with the way you're setting up the Q.
How do you want me to set it up?
I need my Q set up to only the guys that I'm actually considering, and then sort. And then I need to look by ADP on this left side here. I need you to look by ADP, not by my rank, just so I'm not sure I'm not missing anyone. And then I need it by single position. So I need to see running back by itself, and then I need to see wide receiver by itself.
Okay. All right. Let me get this straight. So I will. Okay, we're about to pick here at 101. I'm going to clear the queue. What do you want me to put in the queue?
Let me see running back only.
Running back only by ADP. Brooks, Gainwell, Rashad White, Aaron Jones.
Okay. Pass. Can I see wide receiver?
Yes. Michael Wilson, Michael Pittman, Jacoby Myers, Matthew Golden.
Did Pearsall go?
Pearsall went. Yes. We only have two wide receivers. We have 4 running backs right now.
Yes. So I would put Michael Wilson in the queue. I would put Pittman in the queue.
Yep.
I would put Jacoby in the queue.
Yes. They're all there.
And so Worthy, Golden, and Pearsall are all gone.
Golden's still here. He's 4th by ADP.
Okay, I think we need to take Michael Wilson here. It's just for rank and ADP.
Yeah. All right. Now, just to do a little post-mortem on how that pick went, Q mechanics, discussion, collaboration. How would you grade that pick specifically?
Yes, I felt organized on that Michael Wilson pick. I knew what was out there. I knew what the ADP was, and I knew what our pick was. And like, yeah, it's easy.
Yeah. Hodgepodge says, this makes me wonder what is on Adam's rider. Boy, if you guys could see it. I mean, he makes me send him a basket of red M&Ms only. He wants his coconut waters. He makes me actually send the invitation to do the stream, not via GCal invite, but I actually have to mail him a little card that he can actually then kind of stick onto his paper calendar. Okay, here we go. Polite Hater says this collab is in a downfall. No, I couldn't disagree. We were off to such a rocky start. We're finally getting to a place where we're communicating, we're hearing each other. Don't you agree, Levitan?
Yes, totally agree. And you know, I'm already in my head. See, I'm thinking in my head, we don't have any really clean stacks here for our second quarterback. I think we can go 2 quarterbacks, but like I'm already thinking about.
Sure, we do. Darnold with JSN, Mendoza with Bowers. There's some cleanliness.
We can do that. We can do that. But I was thinking more of like a rushing naked, like a Malik or something, but we might not be in the right spot for Malik.
You love Malik Willis. That's what I've learned, I think, is you love Malik Willis.
I mean, he better keep the job all season. That's all I'm asking. It can't go like Fields. If he doesn't keep the job all season, I'll be so depressed. If he's fine, then yes.
I can't believe I have to ask this, and you know the crowd will get on me. Who is the backup quarterback in Miami?
I believe it's Quinn Ewers.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Did he get a start last year? 1 or 2?
I think so.
Yeah. It was not good. Okay, let's get the queue in order here. We have a 1-4-3. We have Jayden Daniels, Breece Hall, DeAndre Swift, Rhamondre and Corum. Only 3 wide receivers: JSN, Terry, Michael Wilson. We have Brock Bowers. We do have some quarterbacks coming around here. You mentioned the naked stuff. If you want to do a Kyler, you want to do a Jordan Love. This is kind of the last call for running backs, but we're in good shape there. Wide receiver, Adam. I'm showing it by ADP. Romeo Doubs, Casey Concepcion, Jaden Higgins, Khalil Shakur, Jalen Coker, Rashid Shaheed. That's the range we're in here.
Yeah, we really fell behind that at wide receiver here pretty badly, but that's okay. Yeah, we have nothing at wide receiver at this pick, really, right? Like,
yeah, I like KC Concepcion or Dobbs here for this team. Solver likes it. Do you have a preference between those two?
I think Concepcion has pretty higher ceiling. Yeah, we have Concepcion way ahead in rank. It would be Concepcion for me, yeah.
Yeah, let's do Concepcion. We're at pick 116. You guys have him at 113. We take him just slightly ahead of ADP, but needing to catch up here at wide receiver.
Yeah, it does suck to pass on Kittle past ADP because I do think we're like a couple reports away from him going like 80th. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not far off from Kittle really getting steamed.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. And it's tough, like you said. I think had we maybe gone wide receiver instead of Corum and we're up to 4 or 5 there, then maybe we take the Kittle luxury stab. But there's also going to be so many, even on this team with Jayden, right? Like Chig is probably a pretty interesting target for us. So yes. I don't mind being patient there. One guy who's hanging around here, top of ADP, that I like, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt scares the crap out of me right now with how many options there are in Washington.
Yeah. I don't know that Jerome Ford is going to stick on the team. Like I could see someone else trying to get him for nothing, but yeah, I hear you.
I put some wide receivers in the queue. Shakir, Coker, Shaheed. Shaheed could set up a double stack for us. Baker and Shuck are sliding a little bit, but we could also be patient here. We have tight ends, Kincaid, Ferguson, Likely. What position would you like me to look at?
Can I see QB really fast?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Shuck, Willis Ward.
that's a pass. Running back real fast.
Yeah, running back Rodriguez, Tracy, Keaton.
Yeah, I think Shaheed instead of the double.
I like that. Let's grab Shaheed here. We need to get this fifth wide receiver. So we've now caught up a little bit. We go Wilson, KC Concepcion, Shaheed here. Yeah, are you buying all the Shaheed hype? Because it's starting to be a pretty loud drumbeat.
Yes, I think it's legit that they, yes, I talked about this on Market Monday and I tweeted about it. Like, I think, yes, to replace Kenneth Walker, Cooper Kupp is obviously like almost out of gas. I think if they are going to replicate any semblance of last year's offense, they must get Shaheed involved more for sure.
What do you think? Do you think that also could speak to they're just not as confident in the running game this year? I mean, that was clearly their identity last year. Sharps being banged up. They still seem kind of hesitant to crown Price at this point. You think it's like, hey, let's just let Darnold air it out. We know we can do it.
I don't know if they want to do that, man. I mean, they were trying to hide Darnold for most of last year. They were like almost bottom of the league in PROE, like almost bottom of the league in almost every intent to pass metric. Like, I think they were trying to hide Darnold last year. They're going to try to replicate that this year again, but yeah, they may not be able to. And the other thing last year was the defense was unreal. I think the defense is going to be good again, but this whole idea that they can just punt and win like that again, I don't know. So yeah, I think it's just going to be way different. Like, I'm workshopping a take that the biggest regression this year at a team level is going to be Seahawks. I might actually today bet some of their unders on like win total, miss the playoffs, stuff like that.
Wow, fire me up for this Sam Darnold double stack we're about to execute here. That is the beauty, though, of basketball, right? Like, you can have that belief in like the median things. It's same as betting over under season long props, right? Like, you smash the unders. The most likely thing is it goes wrong. There's injuries, whatever. When you draft a best ball team, you draft like you're right, and you hit for the moonshot scenarios where everything goes perfectly for the players you've already drafted.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get the queue going here. If Darnold is here, he obviously makes a ton of sense. Chig also stacked up with Jayden Daniels makes a ton of sense. Any other positions you'd want to look at? We got Travis Hunter, Omar Cooper, McMillan here at wide receiver.
I mean, this is a crazy Dalton Kincaid price, but like again, after you take Bowers, it's hard to do that. If you thought that we could slide Darnold through, there goes the Kincaid. If you thought we could slide Darnold through, I would go for it, but I do not think that we could. So I think we should take Darnold. Does he have different buy than
he does 7 and 11.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have to do it. We have the double stack. Like, we would just be kicking ourselves. I mean, the teams behind us all have 2 quarterbacks, so maybe we could, but in this economy, man, with these, everybody will do some weird ass shit with quarterback. I feel good about locking up the double.
Okay. Can we look at the queue? And now, like, we should be sorting by rank. Like, after like round like 2 or 3, I'm sorting by rank, not ADP when I go through my queue.
Yep, we lose out on Chig, which is fine. We had to prioritize Darnold there. So by rank, we're looking at Jauan Jennings, Omar Cooper, Hunter Henry, Gadsden, McMillan, Strange, Boston is kind of the range we're in here for wide receivers.
Can I see running back by itself?
Yes. By ADP, you're looking
pass.
at...
Can I see wide receiver by itself?
Yes.
McMillan is my favorite in this range. I think people are like overhyping the Ted Hurst stuff pretty badly. So I would have McMillan in the queue. Oh, we do. Perfect.
What is the latest on him from like a health standpoint coming back from the neck? Is he just full go?
Yeah, he came back last year at the end of the year and I thought he played fine. And now he has the whole offseason. So, yeah, I think he's fine.
Okay. That's good to hear. He does go. So we're still looking at Jauan Jennings, Denzel Boston. The tight ends, if we wanted to go that range, you got the Gadsden, Strange, Jawan Johnson. Boston pairs with KC Concepcion. I don't know how much we want to be in the Browns business here.
Oh, McMillan went.
He did. Yeah. So Jauan Jennings or Boston at wide receiver, Gadsden or
who do we have
Strange.
higher in rank, Jennings or Boston? Yeah, I think Jennings. Jennings is fine.
All right. I mean, Jennings with Wilson, Casey Concepcion, Shaheed, I mean, there's a decent amount of target volatility there early on, Jauan Jennings probably makes sense on this squad.
For sure. Yeah. And I like the correlation between Concepcion and Boston, I think is fine. Like in theory, they should be playing different positions, but on bad teams, it's like, I don't know. I don't love it.
Well, that's what's been warping my mind with the Jets. Like I just did a team where I took Cooper and Sadiq and, same thing with Cleveland, where it's like every one of these individual prices, I think the risk reward makes sense to be in on them. Boston, KC Concepcion, even Fannin, obviously. But then it's like being realistic about how this works. It's almost like you're okay. You basically just want to get one hit out of that cohort as opposed to thinking that you're going to have a league winning smash on the Browns offense, on the Jets offense.
Right. 100%. Like it's so clear in like a 1 week sample, of course, but over the course of the season, like we know what teams are going to score the most touchdowns. It's not going to be the Browns and the Jets. I'm pretty confident,
All right, here's the team Adam and I are collaborating on. We are learning each other's communication styles, each other's love languages. And if I've learned one thing about Adam Levitan, his love language is the Q. Jayden Daniels and Sam Darnold, 4 running backs, Breece Hall, DeAndre Swift, Rhamondre Stevenson, and Blake Corum. Wide receivers, JSN, Terry McLaurin, Michael Wilson, KC Concepcion, Rashid Shaheed, and Jauan Jennings. And then we got Brock Bowers holding it down at tight end. I'll put some names in the queue here. Kenyon Sadiq, Brian Robinson, TJ Hawkinson, Debo, Flournoy, Jeremy Bernard, Ridley, Algier. I'll show you running backs. Brian Robinson, Algier, Jonah Coleman, Sean Tucker. I'll show you wide receivers. Debo, Flournoy, Jeremy, Calvin Ridley, Tesla, tight ends, Sadiq, Hawkinson, Otten. Mendoza could potentially be a play for us, but you guys have him ranked pretty low at 193.
Yeah. I mean, the Mendoza thing is tough to rank because we can't give him all the points, but I think he's an interesting pick here. Does he have a different buy than the...
He does. Yes. 13.
Yeah. I think having the three quarterback for the playoff thing is really interesting for this team. I would probably go there.
All right, let's lock him up. We get that third quarterback there, Mendoza. Yeah, and you guys have, I'm assuming like your ranks, I know you guys are really low on even guys like Brissett. You have at 260, Geno at 244, just acknowledging like, hey, they're not going to be playing late season. At least with Mendoza, if we miss games, it's early.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, it's really hard to like get the ranks to be the way we want for that. But yeah, I mean, we don't want people drafting quarterbacks who we think are really likely to not be playing in the best ball playoffs. So yeah. I
saw in the draft I just did, someone pulled the old Carson Beck and Jacoby Brissett to finish their draft.
Last year in the 3K on DraftKings, I only did 1 3K and I took Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. This was when it was ambiguous who would be the starter between Jones and Richardson. And it actually worked out well for me, partially because the Colts were such a smash and Daniel Jones was such a smash, but it was like, yeah, I'm just going to lock this up. I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world in a small field. In BBM, I would not be doing that.
All right, we're about to pick her at 173. I also wanted to ask you a guy that you guys are a little lower on, but maybe on this team would make sense, Antonio Williams with our guy, Jayden Daniels. Is he on the menu for you, or would you go other directions?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. You know, one of the reasons we're low is because we have unlisted. We're still expecting Washington to sign someone, Diggs or Ayuk or someone. I think it's unlikely to be Ayuk at this point, but yes, I think at ADP, Antonio Williams here, and like anytime it's close, yeah, we could take Hawkinson. He's way ahead in rank. I'd be okay with Hawkinson, but like anytime it's close, I think that there's better tight ends later than wide receivers.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one as well. And Bowers just gives us such a large moat to push that. So let's grab Antonio Williams as our wide receiver 7. We are set at quarterback. We're in really good shape at wide receiver. We have 3 more picks. One of them is definitely a tight end. One is definitely a running back, and then probably a little bit of flexibility on where we go from there.
All right, let me see the running backs.
Yes. Running backs left. Brian Robinson is the faller right now. Emmett Johnson, Ray Davis, Jane Blue, Marshawn Lloyd, Katron Allen with Jayden could make some sense. I don't know if you're a George Holani bro with Darnold these days. Anything else you like?
Yeah, I mean, Holani's best role is going to be as a pass catcher. I don't think he's going to have a big volume as a rusher. So like that fits okay with Darnold. Katron, I know he caught a little bit at Penn State. Like, I don't feel great about him in that role, but if you think he can beat out JCM, then I think we should take Katron. Jayden Blue I think is going to have a role. I don't think he's any type of like direct handcuff. In other words, if Javonte went down, I don't think it would be like Jayden Blue workhorse, but I do think Jayden Blue if he has head on straight, can have a role. And obviously, like the Marshawn Lloyd stuff sounds really good right now. I mean, really good.
Yeah, I've drafted with you a decent amount, and I feel like of the names we've talked about, Lloyd is kind of the guy you've been gravitating to.
I mean, he definitely has the highest upside just because I'm not sure that Josh Jacobs' legal trouble is out of the way yet. And like they still, despite all of Marshawn Lloyd's issues, they still seem to talk him up. I think they know they can't give him more than 12 touches a game or something, but that'd be pretty valuable.
I think most of the running backs we discussed are going to be available for us in the 17th. This looks like it's probably our tight end 2 selection. Looking there by ADP, we got the Dulcich, Otten, Ferg, Freiermuth tier. Ferg pairs with Corum. Dulcich probably the best in a vacuum play. Otten, of course, kicking around here with a little week 17 correlation opposite the Rams. Anything stand out to you?
Yeah, it's good that Bowers has such a unique bye week. You can go two tight ends so easily here. I think once you have Bowers, like trying to get guys that can hit your flex makes sense. So I'd be fine with Ferguson as like a home run swing with Bowers. I do think the floor on Ferguson is crazy low, but he could also operate as their like number 3 wide receiver effectively. So I think all 3 of those guys, Ferguson, Dulcich, Otten. I don't normally take Dulcich when I don't have Malik just because I have so much Malik already.
All right, tell me your favorite, Otten or Ferg?
I think for this team, Ferg, on another team, Otten.
Does it concern you that Davis Mattek's favorite pick in drafts right now is Terrence Ferguson, and he's partly responsible for steaming up his ADP?
I mean, this is going to be a controversial subject. I think Davis gets a bad rap for like not being sharp or whatever. Like I like people just like somehow it became cool to like shit on Davis for like not knowing what he's talking about. I don't think that's the case. So
look at that. Look at you. And also a good plug. Davis Mattek is the judge this week for So You Think You Can Tout. He was in the same shoes you and Levitan or you and Silva were a few weeks back for Duo Week.
Oh my God, this is still going?
Tell me about it, brother. Tell me about it.
How long is this fucking show?
Do you know how long it takes to produce these eps, brother?
How many views are they getting? Well, can we
not enough
first?
Not enough. All right. We are, you do have some wide receivers still here. We always do the Jeremy Bernard, the Zachariah Branch. Otten, if you wanted to get, like, we don't have to do the running back here. We could save that for the 18th round. Stowers and Otten are still here at tight end as well. There's a lot of different ways we could go here.
If I was going a third tight end, I would probably go Arroyo and BBM just to try to get some uniqueness here. I think Kerrane makes the most sense if you think Kerrane has a legit path to beat out JCM.
All right, let's do, let's take Kerrane. I think he makes sense. We needed a 5th running back. He's correlated with Daniels, and I do think he can beat that out. I don't think there's going to be any loyalty to JCM as a veteran in the ways there might be if he was selected in round 2 or round 3. I think it's going to be a full-blown camp battle with these guys.
Yeah. I mean, JCM ran well last year, but the thing is, I keep going back to like in my head, he wasn't even gonna have a chance to run well late in the year because Chris Rodriguez was ahead of him. They weren't going to play JCM in those late games against, I think it was the Giants or something. So yeah, I struggle with the JCM thing. I do think he's the best runner, and he has a chance. It's just, it's thin and there's no pass catching. He can get beat out and there's no pass catching. So it's tough.
Yeah. It feels like when you click JCM, you are clicking Washington early down RB, which is fine. We want access to the Jayden Daniels bounce back offense. But when you consider all of the other names, not only Kerrane, but Jerome Ford, Jeremy McNichols, all the tomfoolery we've seen, it's just like that JCM price feels so fragile to me.
Yeah.
Especially when it's like, I'm really warmed up to like, give me Jordan Mason after him. You see where he goes. I guess he does. Where did he go in this draft?
Well, Mason's been having the report lately has been sending Mason higher.
Yeah.
Whatever. That was a weak report, but yeah.
So Levitan, we have a 3-5-7-2. Like I think you could argue we are in luxury pick territory. Whatever pick you think makes the most sense for this team, what spot would you like to look at?
Yeah, so the only tight end I would take would be Arroyo. Like I said, just in BBM, like he's an actual pass catcher, and we have Darnold without Barner. This is like the only spot where I would look at it. I would not look at Arroyo in any other kinds of formats. Can I see wide receiver?
Yeah, wide receiver, we got Ted Hurst, Pat Bryant, Mooney, Tyquan Thornton, Bateman. If I look
Can I go by rank? Yeah.
Yeah. Bryant, Tyreek, Bateman, Booty, Yoshivas, Slayton, Keenan, Bailey.
I think pass there. Can I see running back?
Yeah. P. Ryan, Giddens, Justice Hill, Kalen Black, Ty Johnson, Mike Washington. We do have Mendoza.
I have very little Mike Washington. I think that's probably an interesting one.
Yeah. I mean, if Genty got hurt, what's the Adam Levitan from the balls touch projection for Mike Washington?
God, I feel like that's a better question for the prospect bros. I know Mike Washington was like some type of physical freak.
He goes. You want to do? I have not clicked Arroyo a single time. I wouldn't mind hearing your monologue on Arroyo. Do you like Arroyo more than Michael Mayer? I mean, we have Bowers, so
yeah, I take Mayer a lot, but not with Bowers. The Arroyo take is just for best ball. He's going to be for Mania. He's going to be unowned. We got him. Yeah, he's going to be unowned. And like when they drafted him, it was not to be any type of blocker type. It's to play in this like Gesicki, Eli Stowers type role. And like they clearly didn't love Shaheed very much last year. If you think Kupp is totally dust, they need more weapons. And yeah, I think Arroyo is like a natural pass catcher to use second round draft capital on. So yeah, I think he makes sense in BBM format when you have Darnold and you don't have Barner.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think in my head, I'm just like, this is a really fancy zero to take, but I mean, do you see Paz? I guess do you view it closer to he's like Ferguson to Barner's Parkinson, or do you think it's an even bigger uphill climb for him to like usurp the incumbent there?
I wouldn't even call Parkinson the incumbent because they're going to play so many tight ends.
Yeah.
If Seattle does a lot of what they did last year, yeah, it's gonna be tougher for Arroyo, but they just have so many less weapons too. The argument for Ferguson, I think, is more a criticism of their receivers past Devontae and Puka. And by the way, like, Devontae, if they had gotten AJ Brown, and there were rumors the Rams were going after AJ Brown, Devontae might have been gone. And I worry a little bit what the Rams think about Devontae, but man, it's really hard not to be there on math from the Devontae perspective because he's competing with tight ends and total dust balls other than Puka.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess what the Ferguson thing, it is just the fact that they don't have a wide receiver through. I mean, what is it? Is it Whittington right now? Is that the most?
Yeah. Or Mumfield or Whittington or something like that. Yeah.
All right. Let's recap this team. A 3-5-7-3 in the books. I saw some comments from the chat. They say that this is the best team we've drafted together. I'll let you be the judge of that, Adam. Jayden, Sam Darnold, and Fernando Mendoza at quarterback. Breece Hall, DeAndre Swift, Rhamondre, Blake Corum, and Katron Allen at running back. JSN, McLaurin, Michael Wilson, Casey Concepcion, Shaheed, Jawan Jennings, Antonio Williams at wide receiver. And then Brock Bowers with Ferguson and Elijah Arroyo. How did we do?
Yeah, I think when you take when you start wide receiver, tight end, you can get into a lot of trouble at running back. I think we're okay at running back in the way this team smashes if something happens to Kerrane, because I think Blake Corum is like a pretty thin bet as a vacuum, just on his own. Blake Corum, if Kerrane goes down, that's how you could like actually win BBM with this kind of team. So yeah, I think we made the right bets, like we're stacked three ways. And yeah, I think we made like the right bets here for Best Ball Mania format, and that's like the next evolution of best ball is people formatting their teams better to the size of the tournament and the payout structure and everything, just like people are doing in DFS now.
Yeah, we had to reach on some picks here, specifically when you get behind at wide receiver, and I do have the free draft report from the solver pulled up here. So, reach to get Mendoza and Darnold, reach to get Concepcion, Shaheed, Jawan Jennings, but that was kind of a structural thing there. None of these reaches were massive. And then, yeah, we get a little nice correlation in week 17 there. We got the Arizona with the Michael Wilson on the bring back to the Raiders stuff, Jawan Jennings opposite Breece Hall. Lots of Jet stuff in here with the correlations. This actually has to be Jets Arizona week 15. But yeah, I think this team works. The Swift, Rhamondre, Blake Corum, kind of 2, 3, 4 there for us, I think makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. Anytime you get like 3 stacks and like, yeah, it's not easy to do like 3 good stacks, but it's pretty strong. I like it.
We didn't get to talk a ton about Bowers. I know there's been some hype on the timeline about him. People saying he's going to break records this year. Where do you fall on kind of the ultimate ceiling for Bowers? Where are we drafting Bowers next year?
Yeah, this guy, Rich Pagnetti or something like that, who I guess had worked in some front offices or scouting rooms or something like that. I think he was on the Raiders staff. He said something along the lines of, he was with the Raiders last year and we were expecting Brock Bowers to set the record for tight end catches or something or yards. And then he got hurt. And I kind of buy that, I mean, he tried to play through this PCL thing. We've seen the PCL thing take down a lot of guys, Pitts, Kincaid. He tried to play through it. He couldn't. Now they get Kubiak and quarterback upgrade and health. I mean, and they made a big signing at wide receiver. It's fucking Jalen Naylor. You know what I mean? It's not that exciting. So yeah, I think Brock Bowers, if Mendoza is good or Cousins is okay, either one of those, I think Bowers will catch 100 plus balls this year. Yeah.
And I like that spot now in drafts where we took him, where in the middle of round 2, all of the running backs are gone. London is gone. And then for me, Pickens, AJ Brown, Nico, Rice, this starts to enter a little bit of a tier. Bowers does seem, setting aside structural concerns and how there's tight end values at basically every juncture of the draft, he feels like the best pick to me at this specific spot.
I'll just say I do prefer Bowers on DraftKings because you can separate more on catch volume. In other words, if some dusty tight end has 3 catches for 12 yards and 2 touchdowns, that is a massive score on Underdog. On DraftKings, when Bowers catches 10 balls for 90 yards, that is just, it's just a massive thing with the bonus and the full PPR. So I do think Bowers and McBride both and Loveland are better on DK. But I agree, if he smashes, he's going to be a smash on Underdog also. The biggest issue for me, though, is the one that you said where we passed on a bunch of tight end values because we have Bowers. We can't go here. Oh, we have Bowers. We can't take Kraft, or Laporta, or whatever else, and you miss your chance to catch those falling good tight end plays. But yeah, that's all part of the game.
Did you say your hypothetical stat line for him on DraftKings was 10 catches for 90 yards and you're getting the bonus? Are they giving you an influencer bonus 10 yards short of 100 yards? Can I get that on my DK? Is that why I've been so bad on DraftKings and you're so good? Because you get the bonus at 90 yards?
I get 60,200 salary cap for my influencer status. And yes, bonus at 90 yards.
There you go. But yeah, no, I like how this team shook out here. And yet, what do you think now? Because we are starting to see McBride fall a little bit more. He goes all the way back to 30 here. I do think a gap between Bowers and McBride forming makes sense, considering all those dynamics you just mentioned and the quarterback play concerns. Where is the right price for you with McBride? Because that one is harder to feel really good about right now.
Right. I mean, there's just so much competition for McBride versus Bowers, and there's so many other guys that they have to feed at every position on Arizona. And it's really hard to use last year's stats, which was such an outlier performance. Obviously, we're regressing it a ton on the dropbacks and the throw rate and everything that they got themselves into last year, but it's also a new offensive coordinator. And yeah, I mean, given everything I said about tight end, I haven't been taking much McBride. If he got to here, when he gets mid-third, late third, but I'm not going out of my way to take McBride here. Not more for the reasons that I talked about with later tight ends that I like and I don't want to have to pass on.
Yeah. I mean, I pushed tight end in my first room and the chat didn't love it. It ended up being a Jawan Johnson, Sadiq, and Darnell Washington room. And that was break glass in case of emergency. And I still didn't mind those 3 as my late round tight ends.
I mean, on Underdog, especially, if you can just get 1 touchdown a week from your tight end, you're probably okay. It's probably going to be okay. Obviously, there's a different conversation in the playoffs. You're probably going to need more than 1 touchdown from your tight end. But, is it still 1 of 16 in BBM? By the way, I believe it is, right? 1 of 16 advanced.
Yeah, let me see here. I have to remember because all these different formats.
Yeah.
No, they changed it. So week 15, last year it was week 16 was 1 of 16. Now week 15 is the harder 1 of 14. Week 16 is now only 1 of 12.
So week 15, 1 of 14. Okay. Yeah. So it's a little bit easier. Yeah. It's a little bit easier, but you're still going to need a big tight end score to get 1 out of 14 in most scenarios.
They made the final a little bit bigger. It went from 539 to 667. So I think this is probably the biggest BBM final size we've had at this point. So, have you recorded Market Monday, or is that on your docket for today?
No, I had so much coaching yesterday. We had 5 basketball games yesterday, so I did not get to any Market Monday yet. I need to get to that now. It'll be up later today. I apologize to the people who are anxiously waiting for this show that they cannot live without. But yes, it'll be out later this afternoon today.
What? How did the games go? 5-0 sweep.
We went. People are going to think I'm making it up, but we did go 5-0 and won the tournament on it was tied with like 10 seconds left. They missed a shot. We got a rebound. Had one of our guys leaking out for a layup as time expired, and like parents were like rushing the court. Like it was it was. It's
rushing the court to protest or to celebrate.
To celebrate, yeah.
Dude, incredible stuff. And this one, did you dial up the? I guess you said it was a fast break play, so you didn't dial up this play. They just knew what to do.
No, they've been coached so well and so hard for so long. They just knew exactly what to do. No timeout needed.
At this age, I'm trying to remember back when I was playing that. Do you have conditioning stuff? Are you making them do running and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Or
they're in 6th grade. They're in 6th grade, dude. Like, you don't understand what's going on in youth sports right now. You're going to when your kids get older. Like, if you are not conditioning and like playing every day and like trying really hard in 6th grade, you're cooked. I mean, that's just the way it is.
What would you say is more stressful for you, coaching your son's basketball team to a championship, or dealing with me in the queue on Best Ball Breakfast?
I really got to get myself under control in these basketball games, man, because like, I just care about winning too much. And I have to remind myself they're in 6th grade, but it's hard because like the kids really want to win and the parents really want to win, but like the gym is like dead silent and I'm like screaming at them. It's like, I was thinking last night, like it was fun. I'll remember that game forever, but I need to calm down. Like I need to calm down.
I was going to say, which we're getting different comps here. Adam Popovich, Adam, Krzyzewski. I thought we might be getting a little Adam Bobby Knight in there. Who's your coach comp?
I mean, I think Brad Stevens is one of the best coaches ever. I'd love to go with him.
Do you get because the whole thing, right, with chirping at the refs is ultimately the hope is that you can swing a 50-50 call your way later in the game. Are you accomplishing this, or are you just alienating your relationship here?
Yeah. So one thing I do try to like teach the kids in my life philosophy, which is obviously scary for the kids and the parents, but like one of my biggest things is like, there's no more personal responsibility taken in life. Everyone just wants to blame somebody else for all of their problems. And so I try to tell the kids throughout your life, there is going to be an easy way out. In basketball, the easy way out to say, oh, we lost, but it was the ref's fault. Oh, I missed that shot, but I got fouled. Like, we are never doing that. So I tell the kids they are never allowed to talk or complain about the refs. And I also try to not talk or complain about the refs. And so, I really don't talk to them like at all. I try to be super friendly and set the right example. So I'm hoping that I'm executing on that.
And do the other parents, do they like it when you're like hard on their kid, or do they get defensive and be like, dude, you got to take it easy on my child?
Yeah. I don't think I'm that hard on them where it would get to that. But yeah, I mean, I think at this age in 6th grade, most parents want at this level, most parents, and it's expensive. And like most parents want their kids like coached hard. I think, I don't know for sure.
Is this a paid gig for you or a voluntary gig?
Voluntary, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
But
then who's making all this money?
My kids, one of the reasons I'm doing it is my kids they're going to have real coaches soon, not me, so I only have like a very small window left to coach them. So that's one of the reasons that I'm doing it for sure. Did
you like everything you're doing for coaching? Like, is there prep stuff? Are you grinding like YouTube videos on how to execute a full court press, or are you just going from the dome from having played?
Yeah, I talk to ChatGPT a lot, and I have like this model that runs the efficiency. So I know which kids are playing well and not, but yeah.
I would love you guys to have the official sponsor ChatGPT there on the jerseys. All right, Levitan, I'm going to let you get out of here. I believe you're out next week, correct?
Yeah, out next week. Yes. Yeah, and after that I should be back, but I'll let you guys know. I'm gonna post about why I'll be out next week. You guys have to be under bated breath, but I'll post about why I'm out next week, probably Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay. And then, what I think last time, or I think Dank filled in for you. He was great. I've been listening to him on the Establish the Edge. Maybe we bring Dank back next week.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Dank is
all right, dude. I'm going to let you go. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Go check out Market Monday. Also, those Establish the Edge pods I mentioned. I've finally started catching up on those. Those are awesome.
Yes. And by the way, Pete showed like the best use of the combo thing on Solver. Like, it's so cool. You know, like he knows exactly how much Jayden McLaurin he has. But actually, I think it's more important to know, like, when I take Garrett Wilson, how often do I have Luther Burden or whatever? Just like random ones like that I don't want to get too overweight on. So, yeah.
Yep, all of that stuff you're seeing there with the overlay, the combo tool, check that out at the Solver. I have links down in the description. You can get 20% off that subscription with promo code Pete. Highly, highly recommend it if you're doing any kind of volume in the best ball streets this year. Levitan, good time as always. We'll see you in a couple weeks, man.
All right, buddy. Be good.
All right, peace. All right, we're going to have Sam Sherman joining us in a second. He did send me a message running 5 minutes late, so we will make sure that we get him on here. How are we doing? Jesse says it's time to bring on the real champions. See, this is the thing going into today. I said I needed some bulletin board material for Levitan. I was like, I'm not putting this guy on the thumbnail. He got the thumbnail treatment, I think 3 weeks in a row. And I said, he's got to earn it back. We're going back to the champs here, Kerrane and Sherman. And guess what, guys? I feel like the bulletin material worked with Levitan today. He came hard. We met in the middle. We drafted together. I stepped up my game using the Q. Look, I'm not a huge Q guy. I don't love the Q guy. It's just what it is. It is what it is. But I'm here to meet my guests where they're at. And if Levitan wants me to use the Q to its fullest extent, I will. And I think we drafted a good team here. So we'll see if we can keep the ball rolling with Sam, with Pat Kerrane. And Brandon, you know what? I can accommodate this. You want a little, what if I use this as an opportunity to go to the bathroom? I won't make my guest vamp for me. I will give you guys some silence and some ducks. Does that sound great? And before we do it, would you like a gong? There you go. I will be back in 45 seconds. Enjoy the soothing sounds of feeding the ducks. Dude, look at that timing right there, dude. The crowd wanted to feed the ducks. I had to go to the bathroom. We're both back at the same time. Sam Sherman, the defending champ, welcome back to Best Ball Breakfast. Are you there, Sam? Can you hear me, Sam? Sam Sherman. Can you see me? Blink twice if you are here. Sam. Hi, Sam. Uh-oh. Sam just left. Oh, no. Oh, no. There you go, Brandon. Hope you enjoyed that. But apparently whatever we were doing broke Sam Sherman's camera and mic. Let's see if we can get him back here in the hopper. Sam, can you hear me this time?
It's working this time. Last time I joined, it looked like I was the only one on the stream. But yeah, it seems like we're good now.
All right, dude. How were you doing? Was what? You had a work meeting spilling over late?
Yeah, had a work meeting. And yeah, I'm good. Got back from a weekend out in San Diego, which was fun. A little tired and jet lag now, but yeah, good to go. Excited to draft some teams.
What? Yeah, you met up with Kerrane, right? He told me you guys were meeting up.
Yeah, we met up. We actually saw the whole Kerrane family, which was fun. Played some tennis. Brittany rotated in a little bit too. Yeah, it was nice. It was good to see him. It'd been a couple of years. I think 3 years ago, Kerrane and I got together and played some pickleball. So we upgraded to tennis this time, which was fun.
Was it true that every time you guys announced the score, you each said Jeremiyah Love instead of just Love? Just kind of be like,
exactly. Yeah. It was equally as cringy as you might expect, but we did have to do it.
Did you get a California burrito while you were out there?
I did. Unfortunately, our plan was Sunday morning to like go to a famous breakfast burrito spot, and we were kind of cripplingly hungover from the prior night's wedding activities. So settled for a burrito in the San Diego airport. Probably not as good, but did at least check the box there.
I will say a San Diego airport burrito is still probably better than a Boston burrito. So you're doing good there at least.
100%. Yeah.
All right. We are in a draft. It used to be so easy for me to find drafts until I entered 1 million slow drafts. Now I have to look for it.
This is absurd.
I found
How many did you enter?
Well, I've already immediately pulled back. So I basically devised a plan to max the eliminator and weekly winners via slow drafts before the overnight clocks shortened. But I'm already abandoning the weekly winners element. I was like, I'm in too many. I'm just going to do eliminator. But yes, I'm adding 15 like every 4 days at this point.
Wow. Anytime I hear like something like that, and I was also talking to Pat this weekend about how he was in like 200 slows. Like anytime I hear something like that, it's just like a great data point to bring to my fiance to remind her that like I am not the most insane person in terms of drafts. Like every time I mention like, oh, you know, I did 50 drafts last year for Best Ball Mania, she thinks it's insane. I did 50, but I'm glad we have people out there that are, you know, sicker than me. So I don't look like the craziest one.
I just turned into a chat rat to talk burritos with Shady and Flannel, trying to date for Anna's and El Pelon, both burritos that are fine, but they're glorified Chipotle. You can miss me with trying to comp it to SoCal burritos. Sam, we are on the clock. 107 here. Jonathan Taylor, Amon-Ra, Lamb, Jefferson. Where have you been going in this range? I
would go Amon-Ra here, I think, over Taylor.
I need to boost my 3% Yeah, what's it? I feel like Taylor's been a little bit of a divisive guy lately. You can see him slip a decent amount. Where are you at with him?
Yeah, I think I would like, if I could like set a target exposure for Taylor, I think I would be like 4 or 5%. Like I definitely don't want to full fade him, but I just view him as a little bit riskier than the rest of than the wide receiver, certainly in that range, and also versus the running backs that go earlier than him. I mean, the bull case I did hear from him, which I thought was interesting, is, with Pittman gone, there is kind of a vacuum of targets in Indianapolis to some degree. Alec Pierce also struggling with injury, and Taylor did get targeted at a pretty high rate, by Daniel Jones before the offense collapsed. So I think maybe he has more of a receiving ceiling than I believe, but ultimately I just think like the offensive concerns, the fact that he's mostly reliant on rushing versus receiving, it's just, I think I like the profiles of like the wide receivers next to him just a little bit better.
What about like have you looked at any of his like breakaway run rate or efficiency? Because I feel like that's a big selling point for him too, is like, can he keep ripping off 40-yard touchdowns?
Yeah. No, I haven't looked into it in much detail, but last year I don't think there was much fall off. Let's see, what do we have here? I'd probably go with the big running back. Probably Henry over A-Chain.
Any specific reason? Did he maybe contribute to a large sum of money getting deposited in the account, or anything else?
Once you have Amon-Ra, I think you just got to keep trying to recreate the team I had last year. I think this means is there any chance JSN can slide to the third round on this team? That would be nice. But,
yeah. So we start Amon-Ra, Derrick Henry. Actually, that's been a fun topic of conversation. We all want to pattern match, find this year's JSN. Let's say a player that has an ADP going after, the top 24, which is where JSN was going last year. Who do you think is the best bet to be drafted at like 105, 106 next year, a la JSN?
Ooh, man, that's a good question. Are you thinking wide receiver specifically, or like, yeah.
So I would start it like right in the like Devontae, Olave, Zay, Higgins, Igbuka, Ladd kind of range is what I'm basically zoning in on.
Yeah, I would think like Ladd maybe is like the cleanest, I think, bet to do that from that range, just because we kind of saw him in his second year he wasn't drafted in the first round like JSN, but he was kind of like a 1-2 turn guy. I think there's a world where the Chargers offense can really consolidate around one guy. And I'm thinking like the JSN archetype of like, not the highest volume passing attack, but mega efficient, hyper concentrated around one player. I think Ladd fits the bill there. But I think it's a range of outcomes thing with him, because like I could also see it going another direction where it's more spread out. They use QJ a lot more. They use some other guys, but I think Ladd is the cleanest bet to do what JSN did last year.
Yeah, and I think it's similar in that there was still a lot of concerns about the floor, for JSN last year. Like, what if Darnold struggles? And in the same way where it's like, I think with Ladd and this situation, it's a little different because we all feel good about the quarterback, but I think there's situational things. McBride does fall all the way back here to 3.7. Is that the click?
Yep. Yeah, let's do McBride.
I was just talking about him with Levitan of like the slide is probably warranted as the market kind of catches up to the concerns. But where is the price where it feels good? I mean, there's not going to be a lot of Amon-Ra, Derrick Henry, McBride teams, at least so far.
Yeah, I feel the same way about McBride. Like he was a player I thought I would be fading this year, because I think he started out like around this, same position in the second round. He was like a pick 18, 19, 20. And I was like, I don't think I want to bet on McBride doing what he did last season. But now that he's fallen like a full round from that, I think that regression is pretty fully baked in. And I've actually been getting him quite a bit in my recent draft. Seems like he's pretty consistently sliding around here. Yeah.
I mean, if of all the, pieces on the Cardinals that could survive a quarterback change, the tight end who's shown an incredible ability to earn targets, he's probably the safest bet to weather a Brissett to Beck transition.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's not always historically been true that like tight ends on horrible teams can turn in elite fantasy seasons, but compared to other positions, I think you see it a little bit more. We saw it with Bowers in his rookie year on Vegas. That was a terrible team. McBride last year in Arizona. Like sometimes like offensive spamming tight ends can be like a function of a broken offense in a way that can actually work for the team. So yeah, I just think that the slide's gone too far. Javonte falling here would be nice too. Oh, that's a bummer.
Jacobs though, there's also Burton, Skattebo, Terry. What do you think?
I would go Terry here, I think, if you can get it in.
Yeah. No, let's get Terry. We get that. No love for Josh Jacobs mid-round 4?
I don't think it's a bad pick there. The fact that he's like still being investigated, I'm still playing the Jacobs thing like from a pretty risk-averse standpoint. I think by far the most likely outcome is that his season's not impacted this year. And maybe with that, I should have more willingness to take him at this spot. But like, I don't feel like we're getting that big of a discount on him still. I think if like positive news comes out that he's not being investigated or whatever, like he'll rise around from here, like maybe where Love, Brees go. I'm just not sure like that downside risk is like fully baked in. So I've been off him. I've been preferring to like get the Montgomery guys, the Bucky Irving guys around or so later. So that's how I've been playing it.
And then with Terry, I mean, obviously, I mean, this is the range he goes, but you have some decisions here. Do you go Burden? Do you go Evans? Obviously, you are super high on Adams, but seems like you're getting more and more confident on McLaurin in this spot.
Yeah, Waddle, I also like a ton. Waddle got picked up pretty early here, but I have been going McLaurin, Waddle over Burden. I think it's close, but I think just like it's a bit of a managed versus best ball conversation for me. I think in a managed league, I'm shooting for the upside and probably going with Burden over the more stable veterans. But I think McLaurin, Waddle is just like range of outcomes in best ball. I like better. And here we make a pick here and add one more point.
Yeah,
on McLaurin.
and this has now become a little bit of a sweet spot for
Yeah.
running back Hendo, Bucky, and Tuten here. I'm guessing Cactus with 4 wide receivers goes running back. He doesn't. He goes Tyson.
Wow.
Hendo, Bucky, Tuten. What do you like?
Tough call. I might go. I think I go Tuten. Man, I've been taking Tuten a lot recently, but I think he's my favorite of those three.
Yeah, I mean, the Henderson is now finally sliding to the middle of round 5. But yeah, it sounds like still kind of Tuten versus Hendo straight up for you.
Yeah, it's that one's just so close. I mean, part of me just wants to be like, look at the raw stats from last year, and Hendo did so much more than Tuten. Even though, like, you can talk about what happened in the playoffs with Henderson, and it was really disappointing how that season finished. He still had like 1,000+ yards and I don't know, 8 touchdowns, something like that. He had a good rookie season. Tuten really struggled to carve out a role for himself, but it's just such a clear run out for him this season that I think I am Tuten like 7 out of 10 times over Henderson in that spot. But I think that one is really, really close for me.
So now we're going to be in a similar spot that Adam and I were because we took McLaurin in round 4. And the question is like, how much of an automatic click is Jayden Daniels in round 6 when you have McLaurin? Like, is there any scenarios where he goes? So I guess it's a moot point. But I was going to say that's a slam dunk.
That's
so
a
now
smash.
We can pivot here.
Yeah, if Price slides here, I like Price. I think both those top 2 wide receivers by ADP are pretty solid picks as well. I'm trying to think of our team, if there's any tiebreakers.
Yeah, we have Henry, Tuten, Amon-Ra, McLaurin, and Trey McBride. There is a little Detroit. Odunze and Price come off the board there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to see if there's any other correlation. You do have Washington opposite Jacksonville, which we already have with the Tuten McLaurin. I've been very skeptical on the Jags wide receivers. I don't mind Brian Thomas here sliding. Anything else you see?
I think I would go Thomas. Double down on the Jacksonville bet would probably be how I would do it. He's man. I don't know. I feel like I get asked this a lot on like your show and Pat's show, like the Jags wide receivers. I don't have a clear answer on. It's such a convoluted mess. My only like clear take is that I think one or two of these Jags wide receivers is going to be a big hit this year. I think Liam Cohen's an awesome offensive coordinator, obviously head coach there, but running the offense. And I don't want to be too confident in who wins out. So I have been sprinkling in kind of all these guys a little bit, kind of coward's way out there, but that's how I've been playing it.
Yeah, your homework assignment is next week. You have to have a definitive take. One of these guys is a smash. Everyone else is an absolute fish play. I will say the thing about Thomas, and again, I haven't been drafting a lot of Thomas or Parker Washington, but at least Thomas's role feels very defined, and he has the one guy in this offense who has like the big-bodied outside receiver. I think is kind of insulated no matter what happens with Jacoby and Parker Washington and even Travis Hunter. Like Thomas is going to be that field stretcher. So at least that part of it makes sense to me.
Yeah. And he was just so elite as a rookie. I know people love to say, oh, it was like a product of Mac Jones or whatever. I just don't buy that. I really believe that he was awesome as a rookie and last year was derailed for injuries, maybe some yips issues as well. So again, it's a very competitive wide receiver room. So I haven't been like all in on Thomas or anything, but I still have some hope for the players of talent. Let's see what we got here.
I did just throw Lawrence in the queue. He's not going to come back, but I'm completely open to the combo here. QJ, Metcalf, Pierce, by rank, Kraft, Addison, Sutton, Forum.
I might go Metcalf over Lawrence if you can get it in. I think either is fine, but I don't want to force. I think we have enough quarterback plays later that Lawrence, to me, there I get he's not going to come back, but it just feels like we are paying up a little bit too much there. But yeah, I get this, man. This range is tough.
I hate this range.
I never like feel like I have a smash pick in this range. So I think Lawrence was totally viable there.
Yeah, there is like, you start to get fatigue. I think I have a little DK Metcalf fatigue, even though I know a solid pick here. It also is the thing, where it's like, how much of a better pick is Metcalf to Godwin, Pierce? But then you can do the same thing with Lawrence, right? You can say how much of a better pick is he than, Purdy or whatever. But I think with the Tuten and the Thomas, it was kind of interesting to me. But who knows? Maybe we get him back here.
Yeah, I mean, 4 of these 5 teams already have a quarterback. I think if no one doubles up, and then the general 23 or whatever that drafter's name is, if he passes on a quarterback, then we'll have a shot here. We could also do Herbert. I don't mind taking Herbert as like a unstacked piece here, and we can figure out how to backstack him. So we got some options.
We also. This will certainly be a fixture on ADP chasing tomorrow night. The photo of Rodgers with the team smoking cigs. There you go. So tune into ADP chasing tomorrow night here. Let's see. Can we pull it off, Sam? Will TB for life 55? Does he want a record? Yes.
There we go.
Beautiful. Way to practice patience there. We get him 5 picks past ADP with Tuten, with Brian Thomas, and the Terry McLaurin bring back.
That's fun. That's I think Lawrence, I think, is the cleanest way to play the Jags this year. I heard Gretsch talking about that on his ETR show recently too, where he had like a somewhat similar take to me, where he was like, there's a lot going on in this wide receiver room. I think the cleanest way is maybe just to play it through Lawrence. And I think there's some logic in that. But fun to have him stacked up with some other members of the offense as well. It's a fun pick.
Yeah, so we start with Amon-Ra McBride. We get McBride Amon-Ra Henry. We get McBride sliding to 31. Come back, grab McLaurin, Tuten in the middle of round 5. We grab Brian Thomas, middle of round 6, Metcalf round 7, and then Lawrence slides here. So really letting this draft come to us. Thomas, DK Metcalf, I guess slightly, but McBride slightly. All of these guys kind of just scooping up the slight ADP value, and it's worked out so far.
Yeah, I think the one place where we probably need to keep our eye on is running back. We probably don't want to skip out on too many running backs in the next 3 or 4 picks, because then we'll, it dries up really quick. I mean, we see Rashad White gets pulled up to 9-2 here. We've already seen the running back thirst kind of dry out that position.
Yep. In the Cactus, the team in front of us executed a true 0 RB build here. Dobbins goes. So we might have to be patient here, because by ADP, we're down to Kenny Gainwell at 107.
Yeah, I think we wait on it for 1 pick and then come back to running back next pick. I mean, I don't hate Laporta this far past ADP. He's been a huge target of mine. I know it's structurally unnecessary.
Set up Goff, double maybe.
I think I would do Laporta. I'm not too worried about, look at the ETR rank there. That's like 20 picks of ETR rank value. That's 10 picks of ADP value. I'm really in on Laporta. Like, I know I'd kind of been like harsher on him after a rookie when he was like a 3-4 turn pick. And I was like, he was good as a rookie, but like, I don't really see the point in paying up for that. But now that he's all the way back here in the 9th round, we still are huge believers in the Lions offense. And like, he could just run hot on TDs in that environment. I've been clicking Laporta like pretty clearly over Fannin and other guys in that range.
Yeah, and I think the only issue with the click is just being like, we're going to be interested. Well, the reason we're interested in Goff is because of the click. But at 114, we probably have to make a choice between Goff and one of the last viable running backs in this tier, probably one of the Minnesota running backs. And so we kind of just have to pick our poison there.
Yeah.
Jacoby is also the huge faller here if you wanted to rip it in on the Jags. But, man, I feel like Goff or Jones, now Mason goes. So, this is a tricky spot. What do you think?
This is tough. Let's see. Goff, he's not – is there bye week overlap with Goff and our quarterback?
Nope, 6 and 7. I think we'd probably go Goff.
Yeah, I think I would go Goff. Because I think, Jacoby is a faller, but we've already bet on like multiple other Jaguars players. We can still do like the Travis Hunter thing later. It feels like structurally, like going wide receiver there, like puts us a little bit behind. Yeah. So I like the golf pick.
Henry Tuten, it's one of those things where I think it's because we know Tuten is a pretty fragile pick, so it feels worse. But when you think about the draft capital, I mean, when we talk through Henderson, Swift, Judkins, like you are playing for a top 12 running back breakout in that range. So we just have to play it that way. And it could just be one of those builds where we end up with 4 late running backs and, that's just how we play it.
Yep. Yeah. And we have the flexibility that like, we can definitely go 2 tight end. Quarterback, we can go 2. We can totally do like the Rodgers thing later as well if we want to. So it allows us to be pretty focused on running back and wide receiver for the next 3 rounds. It's not a range, to be honest, where like I love to be locked in at running back, but there's some players where we can make this work. We'll figure it out.
So here's the team so far. We got the Lawrence with Tuten and Brian Thomas. We got the Jared Goff with Amon-Ra and Laporta. That's fun. Just the 2 running backs, which we are aware of and monitoring with Henry and Tuten. Amon-Ra, McLaurin, Thomas, Metcalf, the wide receivers, McBride, Laporta, the tight ends here. Here's an interesting one.
The Rodriguez thing?
Would we? I think it's not the worst thing, especially on a Lawrence team.
Man. I think I would. I don't love it, but he's pretty clearly the best running back available. I think it's fine to do in this spot. I think I'd probably do it.
The issue here with the Laporta thing is like Kelsey slide Rodriguez goes too. So like this is a really tricky spot. Like, can we talk ourselves into Tracy or Mitchell, or do you want to grab?
I think I'd do Tracy. I'm good with Tracy actually. Yeah, it's a little bit of a reach ADP wise. Sorry to cut you off. I just realized we had a couple seconds left.
No, you're good.
Yeah. I'm kind of been on Tracy just with the idea that the Skattebo thing. I know all the reports have been good. Just with this ankle injury, we have seen a lot of evidence that players struggle to return from that, and I just think there's some upside there. And then I think if Skattebo just gets hurt, regardless of his current injury, I think Tracy's like a pretty clear handcuff. So I think he's a solid pick here.
And I think the thing with Tracy is this ADP, it feels like he hasn't slid enough since the Cam Skattebo health stuff has really turned the corner, where you're paying a slight standalone tax for what is probably just a really nice contingent bet.
Yeah.
But I mean, Pacheco comes off the board 7 picks later. We need a running back room. Like, we are in territory where, we're going to need some handcuff bets. We're going to need some things to break right.
Yeah. And this is where maybe going back to like the McLaurin pick or something, it's like maybe we should have just taken like Jacobs there and we could have figured out wide receiver later. Like, I see the argument for that, but anyways, we can figure that out later.
So Mitchell goes. We probably still want to be patient here, but we only have 4 wide receivers. So getting to the double with Hunter or a Coker fall here slightly probably makes sense.
Yeah. I'm trying to think through like the Jags thing. Like, have we? I'd probably go Hunter. I try not to overthink the like overstacking thing. I do think there is like, it's in the back of my mind when we already have Tuten and Thomas. Like, are we pushing it too far? I'd say if we had like taken Rodriguez, then it'd be like, okay, we can't take like a 6th Jaguar or whatever. But I think Hunter is not taking it too far in terms of overstacking.
And it makes logical sense to me that this is a bet on the Jags with a fade on the Parker and Jacoby scenarios, whether that's injury or whatever. We talked about the Brian Thomas kind of thesis and role insulation. If there is an injury and Hunter is now playing in 3 wide receiver sets or whatever. So again, it's a kind of specific narrative, but I see it.
Yep.
So the question here, we now have a 2-3-5-2. I think this is basically going to feel like a 0 RB kind of finish where we just stack up a bunch of different running back profiles that we think, make this team work.
Yeah.
But
I
that
agree.
said, I don't even think we have to capitulate quite here because the best picks still look like wide receivers. Although I could say, I think you can make the argument for a guy like Tajay Spears coming on here. You get the week 17 with Pittsburgh, and he's kind of another guy with some standalone value who could have contingent upside.
Yep. I'd probably go running back here. I agree with you. Like the best picks in a vacuum are still wide receiver, but I think we'll be able to make the argument a lot. So I think it's, those two names you pulled in, it's probably Algier or Spears to me. Spears
Algier,
is the guy I've been taking.
Yeah. Spears?
I might go. Yeah, let's go Spears. Yeah.
I don't mind doing that, especially with Algier's ADP still closer to our next pick, actually right at our next pick. So let's give ourselves a chance to get both.
Yep.
All right, here's the team so far, Sam. 2-4-5-2, Lawrence and Goff. At running back, Derrick Henry, Tuten. We've since added Tyrone Tracy and Tajay Spears. Wide receivers, Amon-Ra, McLaurin, Brian Thomas, DK Metcalf, Travis Hunter. 2 tight ends, McBride and Laporta. So catching up here at the running back and wide receiver position, but if we can get a few more picks to fall our way, I think we'll feel pretty good about what we did at the onesies.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like totally fine at wide receiver too. Like with the early investment in Amon-Ra, McLaurin, I think is like a very stable. That's where like if we had taken, I don't know, Bird in or something and said it's like, man, we're really relying a ton on him having a good year. But I feel solid about like our depth and profiles there. So we'll see what comes to us. I think Algier does go. Bigsby, I like. Not really into Coleman or Charbonnet.
Yep. The other, like, Debo's been the kind of free agent wide receiver if we want to go that route. I agree, though. Bigsby's been a guy I've gravitated to here. Coleman's sliding a little bit, but I don't know if that's the kind of play we want here. Bigsby does go.
He goes.
B-Rob, Sampson, Debo. What catches your eye here?
I'm good with. I think Debo's probably the move here. The other thing I'm thinking about for the next pick is, do we consider Rodgers at some point on this team, or do we just let it ride with Lawrence and Goff?
Let's see here. We have 4 more picks.
Yeah.
We have a 2-4-6-2. We're probably adding at least 2 running backs. We're probably adding a 7th wide receiver, and then it's probably, do you want to get to 7 running backs or 3 quarterbacks? So I do think we have an option there for a quarterback.
Yeah, and I'd probably lean. I mean, if Rodgers goes and it's like Jacoby Brissett, then I would go with the running back. But I think if we can get Rodgers stacked with Metcalf, I think there's probably more value in the 3rd quarterback there.
Yeah, that's kind of been the spot we've been in. Adam and I did that with Mendoza as a 3rd quarterback, with McLaurin or with Jayden Daniels, and I can't even remember who the other quarterback was. But yeah, that if the room gives it to you, I did it in my first draft too, where Geno was my 3rd quarterback, kind of past ADP with Cooper and Sadiq. So yeah, I think just like letting the room make that decision for you is a good way to do it.
Yeah. And what's really Rodgers? Go ahead.
No. Yeah, Rodgers ADP is 175, and we pick at 175. So there you go.
There we go. Okay.
So if you really liked a Brian Robinson, Dylan Sampson, Kamara, you could say, hey, really push it and see if the room will give it to you at 186. Otherwise, you could just lock it up. I'm trying to see the Pittman drafters behind us. Bernard, I don't think has been drafted yet. So we're probably the only people in the Rodgers business for now, but you just never know how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably wouldn't, just with him being kind of like the last viable quarter. I mean, there's even like Bryce Young, 20 picks past ADP here. Like that's not completely off the board either, but I'd probably go the Rodgers route here over
that
Sampson.
Quarterback.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, Goff and Lawrence is like viable with 2, but I think Rodgers will add points to our team in a way that, like, the 2x2 is like, getting an extra running back. It's like swapping out Dylan Sampson with whoever we get in the 20th round, right? Versus like getting Rodgers. And I think Rodgers just adds more points than those running back flyers do.
Yep. 3-4-6-2, Lawrence, Goff, Rodgers, all stacked up. Derrick Henry, Tuten, Tyrone Tracy, Spears, Amon-Ra, McLaurin, Brian Thomas, Metcalf, Hunter, Samuel, McBride, and Laporta. So we'll get creative with some running backs here.
Yeah, I love this team. Lloyd, I do like Lloyd a lot. That's a bummer, but
that's your guy. Yeah.
This team does feel like it hinges on Bhayshul Tuten, which is just kind of funny with how much I've talked about in this offseason, but I really need Tuten to have a good season for this team to work out.
Ain't that the truth? The real question here too, if like, we know we're going to get 2 more, if not 3, like, would you, if Samson comes back to us here, which he does, we should probably take Samson.
Yeah. I like Samson. I do think there's like, I was going to say like, we should go for more of like a home run, like handcuff archetype, which I'm not sure. Like with Tracy, Spears, and Samson, I guess my fear is we kind of have 3 guys that like have some standalone value, some pass catching value, but they're like all on subpar offenses. And I struggle to see like the true upside case. So I think there is more room to like take a stab on whoever we think that upside player is. But that said, we're talking 17th, 18th round running backs. It's not like there's going to be tons of awesome upside cases, but yeah.
In this, to me, it was also like the other decision is like, do I draft Jeremy Bernard for the 40th time in a row? As Colton says, Pete's going to be double the field on every Pittsburgh Steeler piece by the end of this draft cycle. Or, another thing, looking at the running back room, you mentioned like bigger swings, which I completely agree with, but there's also the thought of, are there actually just like base level points do we need? Like, is this a George Kalani team where we need some of the early season production?
Yeah. I think Sean Tucker also fits this team decently well. Did Bernard did just go.
Bernard went. I'm just going to put a few names in the queue here. Sean Tucker is interesting. We have 3 more picks. So again, the question, do you think we get to 7 running backs or 7 wide receivers?
Yeah. I think 6. I think I'd go 3, 6, 7, 2 here. I think 1 of each. So can you tab to the wide receivers that are still?
We got the Cup, Dell, Hill, Bateman, Booty, Yoshivas, Knoll. Nothing really stack wise here. Tucker comes back.
Yeah, I do Tucker.
Yeah, that makes sense. He's a pretty big swing. No.
Yeah. I mean, I think he is kind of the best of. He's a good fit for this team because I can see the big contingent upside. We've seen that like actually materialize the past 2 seasons. Some huge individual weeks from Tucker, and I also think there's a really good chance he's like splitting the goal line role from day one, even with 0 injuries to Bucky and Gainwell. So I think we ended up landing the plan pretty well at running back. Now it's a matter of what type of wide receiver do we want here. The guys I've liked here have been like Bateman. Let's see who else. Man, looking at these names, it's rough.
Let's just look to like Detroit if there's any correlation there. I mean, that's Chicago, so there's nothing there. Pittsburgh's Tennessee, there's not much there. The guys we've been talking about. I mean, ETR always has Cup there. It is a question of like, do you go the rookie route? You have the Ted Hurst, the Brazel. Or do you go like, what do you think this room needs with Amon-Ra, McLaurin, Brian Thomas, Metcalf, Hunter, Debo?
Yeah, I mean, Hunter is kind of like effectively a rookie, like archetype wise. So I think I'm not forcing a rookie in here. I think I would probably lean Bateman. If Bateman goes, then man, who are the rookies that are even around? Brazel.
It's I think Hurst is still here. It's
Hurst. Yeah.
It's Brazel. The Jacoby Lane of the world.
Yeah.
Malachi Fields.
Yeah. Fields is but there's Giants week 16 with the Lions is there. Bateman did go. I didn't even notice that.
He did go. Yep.
We've taken Cup too many times. Let's do Fields. Whatever.
Okay. All right. There we go. We'll mix it up a little bit.
Let's mix it up.
All right. Malachi Fields. Can he can he beat out Odell Beckham Jr.? That's really the question we have for Malachi Fields at this point.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. We put ourselves kind of in a corner there with some of the, prioritizing the onesies there, McBride in Laporta, Lawrence and Goff. And then, it's interesting. I feel like the running back room, I don't mind how it shook out. Not my favorite player selections, but just kind of where we got them: Henry, Tuten, Tracy, Spears, Sampson, Tucker. It was kind of the wide receiver room too. I mean, Amon-Ra, McLaurin, Brian Thomas, Metcalf, Hunter, Debo, Fields. So I don't know. I think we balanced it decently. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I like this team a lot because of the stacks with the quarterback. I think that's always really fun to stack up like elite players with their quarterbacks. With Goff and Amon-Ra certainly is that. I think like high capital spend on some of those Jacksonville guys and Pittsburgh players. So I think that's fun. And yeah, I think the running back thing is, I mean, I think there's been a lot of conversation this offseason around like, ideally it's probably not best to be forced into a situation where we're scrambling for running back late in drafts like we were. That said, I think we all got guys that I feel pretty good about having roles in their offenses from day one. They're not like total zeros, total contingent plays. So I think that's good. And 1 or 2 injuries break away, we could have a pretty strong running back room here. So yeah, I like how this team check out. I also think like the Laporta thing, it's always like, I think it's like staring at the team. You're like, oh, this feels pretty weak at running back and also feels weak at wide receiver. But like that Laporta pick has the potential to help our flex a ton too. So like definitionally it's fine to be a little bit weaker at running back and wide receiver if you're getting the tight end flex help. So overall feel good about this team. Definitely the strength is the stacking with the quarterbacks here.
Yeah, and it's good too, because it is like, we always talk about where, if you push tight end or you push wide receiver, it's always going to feel comfier because the best clicks, 14 through 18 are going to be those tight ends and wide receivers. But I also I have basically 0 Tracy. I have very little of some of these guys in this range. And sometimes it is nice to get into these pockets of the draft board where even if you don't think it's the best pick in a single draft, you want to make sure you have some builds there that take advantage of those plays if things break the other way. So yeah, to me, the most interesting selection as far as like a fork in the road was probably the Metcalf and the Laporta, where it's like,
yeah,
the tight end one. And it's tough because we get Laporta past AB, like we did what we wanted. You get the value, you get the rankings value, you get the double stack with Goff, and yet you do feel a little squeezed as far as your flexibility from there.
Yeah. And I think that's a spot where I don't know if you can pull the board open, but like, if I think in the Metcalf spot, like, well, all the running backs that I like in that range, Rhamondre, Jalen Warren, Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, Tony Pollard, all those guys are ripped off. Usually in that spot, you have a choice for one of those guys, which I think that's where we kind of just like ran bad a little bit in terms of how ADP fell in this room. Because I think subbing Jalen Warren for DK Metcalf on this team, and then, I don't know, take some other wide receiver later. And I feel like we feel better about it, but you can't always control, when those runs happen.
And actually, I take back the Metcalf thing because I was going to push for Lawrence, and then we end up getting both of them there. So like that would have just made our wide receiver selection. It would have been like Lawrence and Addison or Lawrence and Pierce.
Yeah.
So getting Metcalf and Lawrence definitely feels better.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we played this one like how the draft fell to us, which I think is, generally what I'm trying to do. I feel like I had another point, but I forgot.
Do you know what it is, dude? It's probably the 2v2 of you flip McLaurin to either Jacobs or Skattebo, and you flip Tracy to a Shaheed or Diggs or Shakir.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably, I mean, yeah. It like Shaheed, Diggs versus Tracy, it does just feel like you're losing. You're just straight up like losing points there, taking the running back over the wide receiver. That's the tough part. So I think that's probably right. Even, and since I'm out on Jacobs, like I probably just need to be, open to, pulling up Montgomery or Skattebo or whoever else in that spot. Cause I think that's probably the way to play it.
Yeah. And, to your point though, too, like we missed running back tiers just perfectly. Like you said, Stevenson, Warren, Hubbard, Dowdle. And then we're looking when even we were tempted by Laporta, it was like Dobbins and Gainwell were the two clear guys there. They both come right off. And so I do I do think how we did that, where the worst thing you can do is like then panic select a guy like 20 picks ahead of ADP because you need running back. And I like that we stayed patient here. I mean, even after the Laporta thing, we only took one running back for the next 4 rounds because it was just like, man, like these picks don't feel right here. Let's add to the wide receiver room. Let's get our next quarterback. So yeah, it's not the most comfy of builds, but I think you got to kind of commit to the bit once you go down that path.
Yep, I agree. Pete, how are you feeling in general with like drafting? I feel like it's been like a month-long stretch now of like very limited news in the NFL world. So yeah, are you like, have you made any like adjustments in the past couple weeks, or has it been like the same as for me, where it's just kind of been like things are at a standstill and it's getting to feel a little repetitive?
It is really dry as far as news, right? And I feel like I write the Fantasy Life newsletter and I'm always like, give me something to write about here. And then day after day, there's nothing new to write about. But the one thing I have noticed is I felt better about some of the wide receiver heavy or early tight end builds because of the value that you're now getting in round 5. I mean, Henderson falls to 58 here, Irving 59, Tuten 55. So I felt better about that. Even in a lot of these drafts, I've been getting Stevenson in Chuba and Warren and Dowdle. I know they didn't necessarily fall here, but that's been the one difference of like, I don't feel like I'm going to be up a creek without a paddle as much as I did at the running back position early on.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think we've seen like some news with the later running backs, or at least like gotten a little bit more confidence in the Marshawn Lloyd, Jaden Blue types. Like you're still running like high zero risk with some of those guys, but at least it's been like somewhat positive for those players. So I felt similar. I felt okay, going running back lighter early at this point.
Have you been still kind of exclusively on stream or cardio club drafts?
Yeah, pretty much. And I've been in a very busy stretch of life stuff. So I have had very little time for drafting. So it's been good to get on with you and Kerrane and get some drafts. And I think also like to the point of no news, like I feel like part of my edge in best ball drafting is like when the market reacts to news, whether they overreact or underreact. And when there's like this long of a stretch without news, I do feel a little bit like I don't have as much of an edge. So I haven't had like the itch to draft as much. I think that'll change once training camp starts. We get the preseason data. Some of that I find like the most sort of exciting to try to react to and pick off some bad ADPs. So yeah, been a bit of a slower draft stretch for me.
Yeah, for sure. And, someone was asking in the chat earlier of like, am I drawing dead to win Best Ball Mania because I haven't drafted yet?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No.
I mean, the one thing we were kind of giving ourselves a hard time about this team. One thing we did really well, and I pulled up the Solver draft report here, like really nice ADP value, good draft capital value here. So, I mean, outside of a couple of these running backs, when we were like, all right, we got to reach 6 picks for Tracy, 5 picks for Spears. We did really well early on stacking some value and late too. Like, even though the CLV matters a little less, or sorry, I should say the ADP value on guys like Sampson and Tucker late, it's still nice to get those guys onto a build when you need running backs.
Yeah, I didn't even really notice that because, like I mentioned, I haven't drafted a ton recently. I didn't realize we're getting like more than round values on Sampson and Tucker. And that's huge when we needed those running backs at the end. Like if those guys get snapped off and we're staring at the Mike Washington types or whoever, like that gets to be a really tough spot. So yeah, that's a good point. And Laporta was a pretty solid value too on this team. So
yeah. It's funny too, because it's like, we always say that with the tight end stuff where, you sometimes regret and just wish you had left a tight end or two in your back pocket just to take advantage of the value later. But then it's like, man, Trey McBride, he keeps slipping. And it's like, do you really want to let, someone in the back end of, the draft board get, McBride paired up with a Barkley or, some of these guys there? It's like, you feel like you want to hold the wall there.
I know. Yeah. I feel similar. You got to defend the McBride
integrity.
ADP, the integrity of the contest. Exactly. But yeah, McBride, I just think I already said this, but I'm just pulling out McBride's stats from last year. Like I think there is an instinct always in fantasy to regress when players have outlier seasons. There's a lot of reasons to believe that what McBride did last year needs to be regressed. Like the play volume was insane. That was a very special circumstance for that offense. Marvin Harrison was out. No running back, pass catcher weapons on that team to speak of. James Conner, Benson, etc., all injured. At the same time, we're still talking about a player who had like 163 targets, 11 touchdowns, over 1,200 yards last season. Like he doesn't need to repeat that to pay off the ADP. So he's a guy that I feel pretty good about where he fell. Everyone just hates Arizona, which is understandable, but he's becoming a good value in my mind.
Yeah, no cap. Max says the biggest news we've had recently is Adam Schefter signing an extension. We're starting out there. Dude,
Yeah,
the one moment that hit me, and I'm sure there's been some updates since then, but I was going to Roto World and I was looking at some of the blurbs, and like for a few days, the top blurb was AFC exec thinks Quinshon Judkins is going to have a good year. Yeah. And I'm just like, that's what we're working with here. I mean, some of these, I guess I could filter to headlines here, but it's like, listen, the Athletics' Daniel Popper believes Charlie Kolar could be a breakout candidate for the Chargers this season. Dude, the leg up offices right now, just fist pumping this.
I was gonna say, does Kerrane still have his Roto World like login? Did he sneak in and get that one in? They've been the biggest Kolar bulls I've ever seen. It's hilarious.
Here's the one. This is the one I was staring at for multiple days. This is under headlines for Roto World.
Headlines.
An AFC executive told ESPN that Browns Quinshon Judkins will have a big year in 2026.
I saw another one. I can't find it right now. That was like, it was basically like the headline was Ben Solak thinks a player is good. And I love Ben Solak. Great analyst, one of the best out there. But like when we're just scraping for news on like what analysts are saying, we've just reached a point of no need.
It is funny, right? Because like it is undeniable that like football and the NFL industrial complex is totally a year-round thing right now.
Yeah.
The way we get strung along from the playoffs to the combine to the draft to training camp, yada yada. But you will have these pockets, these 1 to 2 week stretches that are just completely void of anything meaningful. And I think even more so, like even free agency, man, it was like we had something going, everything. Like I had more to write about a month, 2 months ago than I do right now. And we're 2 months from the start of the season?
Yep. Yeah. And I think we had like, there was a period of like obviously the horrible Jacobs news. Regardless, it's horrible news, regardless of the truth of it. And then there was the Rashid Rice jail story. There was the Malik Neighbors knee. There was like all that stuff going on with the round 3 players, which shifted things up a little bit. But besides that, there's been like no meaningful shifts. I thought maybe like the wide receiver free agency would be like a branch to get us from mini camps to training camps. But I guess teams are just saying like, hey, we're going to go into training camp with our guys. We're going to evaluate our players there. And then if we need to call, Diggs or Keenan Allen, we'll do so at that point. But they're certainly not in a rush to sign those guys.
I know. And I even think back to like the year we did have rookie year Tank Dell and Puka break out. And I remember like when they were creating buzz at minicamp, I mean, that was late May, early June. And, we've heard some buzz on some of these guys, but I do wonder if it speaks to the quality of this rookie class where it's just like there isn't quite the talent popping here that is impossible to ignore. Like, we're waiting for stuff to happen, but I don't know. I feel like there were more buzz on rookies in previous years up to this point.
Yeah. Yeah. 100% agree. But
all right,
it'll all come fast, and in a month or so we'll be
we'll be drowning in it. We'll have like 19 news things to get to, and we won't know what's real and what's not. But what do you guys got going on? That's fair this week.
Yeah, I've been out for a couple weeks. Totally been my fault on scheduling stuff. I plan to be back with Kerrane on Thursday for That's Fair stream, so that'll be fun. I know I listened to Davis and Kyle filling in for me the past couple weeks. Those have been good shows. But besides that, just same news as always, Pete. I'll be back here with you next Monday, and yeah, that's all I got.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's fair here. This is how you know Pat was phoning it in without you out. Like, he didn't even bother with a thumbnail. He went just full Liam here. He's like, we'll just use default thumbnail right here on That's Fair. It's like, it's only when he has you able to put the put you on the thumbnail there. Yeah, there you go.
I guess so. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Any other parting shots here? Any final takes on your way out?
No, I mean, you can ask Kerrane how the tennis match between the two of us went once he hops on. I won't share the details here.
Whoa. Okay. All right. I mean, did you play tennis in high school, or how long?
Yeah, I played in high school. So I'm just kidding. Kerrane, him and Brittany, I think, both picked up tennis recently. So we weren't doing a competitive match. We all just played for fun. But yeah, I played a bunch growing up. And I've actually switched to Padel recently, which has been a lot of fun. They got some courts in Boston, but yeah, we had a good time. We just rallied around.
I had refused to give in to big pickleball, but maybe you can show me the ways on Padel. I could give an olive branch to the paddle community via that.
Yeah, it's more. I think. I mean, you're a good athlete. You're a basketball player. It's a much more athletic sport than pickleball. The problem I have with it is it kind of feels like you play for an hour and you barely got to work out. It's still fun. I still find pickleball fun, but it's not that much of a sweat. Padel is the exact opposite. You'll be exhausted after an hour of Padel. So it has that element to it, which is fun. So yeah, we should get together sometime and play. Be fun.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be I'll be around in Boston on Sunday because I'm going to the Scott Fishbowl thing. Even if you're not drafting, you should swing by, have a drink or whatever over at the meetup.
Where is that in Boston?
It's a good question here. I will message you with the location. I got to find it in my stuff. But yeah, I know it's some bar. We're doing the draft, but I think people are going to be swinging by and stuff. It's right before the World Cup final. I think they're doing it from
nice.
And then the World Cup final Sunday afternoon.
Okay, cool.
Oh, there you go. The point.
Market. Oh, okay. Yeah. I used to live around North End when I first moved in Boston, and there's a whole cluster of bars there. Point, Hennessy's. Used to go to. So okay, cool. All right, sounds good, Pete. I gotta run, but good drafting. I'll see you next week.
We'll catch you later. There goes Sam Sherman here. We have one more draft today on Best Ball Breakfast. Time always flying. We'll have Pat Kerrane joining us in a couple of minutes. We'll see his take on what went down in the epic tennis match versus Sam in San Diego. Shout out to the chat, everybody hanging out here, all 731 of you on July 13th. No news, no problem. Happy to draft Best Ball Mania teams and hang out. The schedule for this week for me, typical schedule, we will have tomorrow off and on the clock with Nez and John. We got to figure out our plan for that. Wouldn't mind getting back in the eliminator streets, perhaps, or we can figure it out. We have all kinds of things in the lobby. We'll have the Swolecast back at 3 p.m., although no Davis this week, I'm assuming. We'll have to figure out what we're going to do for the Swolecast. If you guys missed it, we had Cody Main from ETR on last week. That was a fun show. Tomorrow night, ADP chasing. Davis is out, but they have a sub, Matt Harmon, from Yahoo, from Reception Perception, will be on ADP chasing Tuesday night. On Wednesday, I am going to be hopping on the Solver YouTube channel with Dave. You guys might know him. He's been on After Dark before. Best Ball DFS crusher in the Underdog streets. That will be a fun show. And then we'll have Ship Chasing at 2 p.m. on Wednesday. And we are doing a main event draft, our first live high stakes draft over on the FFPC. That's going to be a very fun time. We have our first slow draft in the books. We wrap that up. If you guys are YouTube members over on the Ship Chasing channel, you get access to those mini-sode series And now we're going to do our first one live. Normally we do our live drafts in August in the evenings, but we said, you know what? Let's get this rolling. Let's get this rolling now. So that draft is actually already filled, but you can still tune in and enjoy watching myself, Jacob, and Pat compete in the FFPC main event. Thursday, we'll have the Best Ball Bash. And then Friday, the hope is that the next episode of So You Think You Can Tout is ready. And then I will also be booking After Dark sometime between now and then. One other thing I would like to mention, I'm now doing multiple shows a week on the Fantasy Life YouTube channel with Kendall Valenzuela. Mondays, we have a guest. The Wednesday show is with Dwayne McFarland talking specific strategy rankings. And then on Friday, we've been doing draft shows. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the Fantasy Life Show YouTube channel. Have a lot of fun doing that with Kendall now 3 times a week. But without further ado, we got to get the other side of the story here, Pat. I mean, Sam was pretty cryptic on how the tennis match went. Tell us the truth. Who emerged victorious?
Yeah, so I'm playing. So I started playing tennis in September, and it's been fun. We live nearby this tennis club, and so I've been going. Me and my wife Brittany have been playing, and it's been nice. And then, Sam tells me he's gonna be out here. Let's kick around a couple things to do. I was like, we play tennis, and he's like, oh yeah, that'd be great. So we're starting hitting around. He's like, I need to borrow a racket. I'm like, okay, no problem. So we get down there, we start hitting around. And Sam's like got this like very refined swing with like a great top spin. I'm like, how long you been playing, man? He's like, well, basically like my whole life. And my parents met at a tennis club. Oh, okay. So Sam won like every game. But I think Brittany actually beat him once, but he double faulted a couple times. But yeah, I didn't win a game, but we had some good rallies. I got close. I got to deuce a couple times.
I mean, you should be lucky he didn't sandbag you, fumble around and then be like, hey, a couple best ball millionaires here. You want to put, I don't know, you want to put $1,000 on this? And then he
could have hustled me.
Yeah.
He really could have.
Incredible. All right. Yes, you're right. Thank you guys. Producers. I'm stalling. Please welcome to the stage.
Scuba Kerrane, Patty Millions, Peacock Pat Kerrane on the 1s and 2s.
Are you kidding me? Kadarius Toney?
98 yards to the fucking house against Carolina in week 10.
All right, there we go. And Pat, I have entered us into a Best Ball Mania draft. I tipped off the Discord, and we are ready to roll. Influencer 101 here for us, Pat.
Go.
We are ready to rock.
I can't get Gibbs on my own, so I need you to pull the 101s.
Dude, so I didn't realize this. So I got the 101 this morning, and I just in my head, I thought I had like 6 or 7%. I looked, I had 1%. You can see here even via the solver.
Wow.
2%. Jahmyr Gibbs. We're in the same boat, man. We need as much Jahmyr Gibbs as we can get.
Wow.
So let's
so that's you got the you know for sure because you got the $50 exposure. It's the old 2 BBMs.
That's a new thing you guys added, right? The exposure?
Yeah, it's new. It's relatively new. We've had it for I think over a month now, but you can have it display the dollar amounts or the exposure. You can have it pull if you want. You can like cross pollinate between the 2 sites and show both exposures for like the same slate type.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah, you can also just show me like all my exposures across all slates on Underdog.
Yeah,
but the default is just like show me the exposure I have on this slate.
That's as someone who's not in the DraftKings streets, because I feel like there's always some of those big discrepancies, like on an Underdog price and a DraftKings, and obviously there's scoring setting implications, but is there anyone where you're just like, I'm getting all my exposure here and not there?
There's some like that. There's some, the ones that jump out to me more are the guys who I'm like getting exposure on Underdog, but I'm getting like an insane amount of exposure on DraftKings, or just like that. It's like a player I like on Underdog, and then he's completely free on DraftKings. The big guy would be Makai Lemon, who's just like as you know from the FFPC stuff, he's just so cheap. He's expensive on Underdog, and I think he's too cheap there. So I'm at 43% Makai Lemon on DraftKings because he just goes like another round and a half later.
Yeah, man. Would you say like because he's been a tricky one. He's probably one. I think there's maybe one of the biggest meaningful gaps between your guys' rank and ETR's rank on Makai Lemon. Has the Stowers like talk about him redshirting given you more confidence in Lemon, or is that independent?
We haven't like changed anything on Lemon because of that. We did adjust Stowers down a little, but we didn't adjust Lemon up. And so in that sense, no. But I think in the sense of like we are different than the market and different from ETR and I think some of the other rankings out there. So in that sense, yes, like it's like things do seem to be looking just as good, if not better than for Lemon than they would have, a month ago. But fundamentally, the reason that we like Lemon is that he was a really good prospect. I think very close in some ways to Tate. I mean, pre-draft, very close to Tate and Tyson. It's really the kind of they go top 10. He falls a little bit. There's like some weirdness around the combine stuff. So you want like a little discount relative to those guys. And he's got this hammy thing. So like that's, you never like to hear any kind of injury stuff in the summer. So that's, mildly concerning. But he's a first round pick, great prospect with a profile that's very fantasy friendly. So like, I think he will be good. He checks a lot of boxes for a guy who will be good in the NFL. And then if he's good, he's going to be good in a very fantasy friendly way. So you get that. And then you also are in an offense that supported 2 wide receivers for a long time. And one of them's gone now. So unless Stowers is going to be functionally like that second wide receiver as a big slot, which, like you said, is looking less likely, not more likely, then he sets up as an absolute jam anywhere past like the 6-7 turn. I think he's a value in this. Like, I think his fair value is in like the late 6th, and when you can get him in the 7th, like that's great. And then when you get him in the 8th and 9th, that's silly. So.
We're on the clock here. Nico with Gibbs, top option here, ADP and Solver. I'm good with that if you are. Yeah,
I'm good with Nico here.
And then we'll see what refreshes here as we double tap Rashi Rice as well. Gibbs, Nico, Rice, pretty solid 2-3 turn.
I'm into it. Yeah, Rice and McBride have been kind of flipping here, and we're seeing that McBride keeps falling. So it's like, I think, if McBride, the market just seems out on McBride. So you're getting the chance to build, some, like you can get McBride whenever you want him basically at the 2-3 turn now. So it's one of those things where do you want to try to, follow what's going to be harder to get at the 2-3 turn, which at this point is probably Rice, or, go with that elite tight end. I think McBride's still a really strong pick there, but I am doing this start now a little bit more that McBride's fallen.
And I was going to say, because in the draft, I mean, Sam and I just took McBride at 31. He might have, I want to say he slipped to 31 or 32 in the draft I did with Levitan. So it does seem like this slide is happening. So I think outside of, combinatorial stuff where you're wanting to get McBride with certain guys up top, I do kind of want to be patient just because it seems like the market is now moving to him. I wouldn't be surprised if he's more of like a mid to late 3rd round pick when all the dust settles and if there's more Beck chatter or whatever it may be.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Lemon? Because, you're kind of in the middle. You've got the solver on one shoulder, the sidekick on the other here. And we're very much into Lemon. Where are you, how are you drafting with him?
I think you make a good case, and it does feel like it's a little pricey. I saw someone mention that it feels similar to the Burden bet in the chat, which it does, but like Burden was cheaper last year, where it's like one of those things where it's like you like the offensive environment, you acknowledge it probably will be slow going out of the gate, and yet that late season upside is just so obvious. The one thing that's been frustrating for me is I haven't been able to get like the Hurts Makai stuff to work for me. I have a lot of Hurts, I have a lot of Devontae, but because I had been using a lot of the ETR ranks there. He's just been like buried for me. And so I kind of want to swing back around, make sure that I am mixing him in, because I do agree with you. That entire tier, like for me, like once Tyson comes off the board, like you can make arguments for all of those guys, like as far down as to even like the Pearsall range. And so I want to make sure that I'm not, too over-indexed on a Metcalf or, even a Godwin later, and make sure that I am sprinkling in some Lemon.
I don't really view it similarly to the Burden bet, where Burden was behind Zacchaeus. I think Lemon, like, things would have to swing pretty negatively for it to be similar to the Burden bet, where Burden was not.
He could easily be behind Wicks to start the season. That wouldn't be crazy to me at all.
Right, but that wouldn't be similar to Burden. Burden was behind Zacchaeus to start the season.
Well, I guess you could say he could be behind Hollywood Brown, but that's more of a stretch.
That's when he'd actually be similar to Burden, and that's how he's being priced. He's being priced like he's behind Hollywood Brown, which no one has reported that he is.
And I mean, he had better draft capital than Burden too, but what, Burden was 3 rounds probably cheaper than where Lemon was. He was like pick 100.
Not anymore. I mean, Burden was in the 9th-ish, 9th, 10th. He was in the 9th on Underdog, I think, and more like 10th or 11th on DraftKings. But
so 73 to 108, like 30.
Yeah, so a couple rounds. Yeah.
I'm still happy taking Montgomery here.
Me too, especially with Nico. Yeah, and then I assume Adams will be the next recommendation, which I'm also fine with. I also, the guy I do IKB2 occasionally is my guy Tuten, but he's so far down here. I would just take Adams.
Yeah. All right, let's do Adams. This is good because I actually had my 101 earlier. I did Montgomery and Nico, and then I had Gibbs, and I was like, you know what? I'll do a JMO share here and do like the Gibbs JMO pairing and double up there, but it's really hard to pass on Adams.
Yeah. The Lemon thing, like, he is looking, I would say, like, exceedingly likely to be, a starter in 3 wide receiver sets right now as the first round pick who like played, was kind of projected as more of a slot to begin. And so I think the slow start thing is a little, like, it's both true, but also when you start to think about it compared to Burden, I don't think it'll be that slow. Like, he's probably going to be a starter in 3 wide receiver sets, which they're going to play a decent amount of 12. But the Stour stuff helps you there, where it's like, well, what is that 12? Oh, it's Grant Calcaterra. So he has to basically compete Grant Calcaterra as a playmaker, and they play a little bit more 11. And then you think about, Dontavian Wicks, how long is he holding that outside job over Lemon? That could be a long time. Like, you could have a sort of a Burden-y type of thing there where he's blocked in an offense that's more run heavy, although the Bears were run first too. But, that maybe like he has to get that outside job to really produce. I could see it. I could also see him playing some outside, playing some inside, and basically being ahead of Wicks, even if like he doesn't own 12 personnel, but he gets to like 80% route participation, is sort of Wicks still having somewhat of a role. So yeah, I think he's a lot closer, to Tyson as far as the playing time that he can have, where like they talk up Devon Vele as a guy that they trust as an outside 3rd wide receiver. Like, yeah, I think it could be closer to that, really. Like that Vele and Wicks are kind of helping them as that trusted wide receiver 3, but that the rookie really owns the number 2 target earner at wide receiver quickly. And I'm drafting Tyson, so I don't mean that as like a bear case for Tyson. I'm just saying I think the market is not. I don't know. I don't really get it. It's like one of those ones where I'm like, we are different than the market in a significant way, but I don't understand. Like, I'm like, this dude like profiles as an absolute jam in a lot of ways.
Right. And like, I think the other part of your argument that's convincing to me is, for me, there is a tier break after Tyson comes off the board, and the idea of just re-rolling the rookie round 1 bet and not dealing with Thomas in Rome, in Marvin Harrison, or the clusterfuck with Parker Washington, or a volume guy like Metcalf who could, find himself, fighting for targets with Pittman. Like, that idea of just re-rolling a really talented rookie bet in the range we typically draft these mid-round one wide receivers, specifically ones that end up on teams with good offenses. I'm open to it for sure. All right. let's see here. We are 3 picks away from this turn. Hurts does go, so we won't be able to do a Hurts and Lemon. Pollard is at the top here. Lemon, of course, hanging around. Burrow's suggested here. We don't have any stacks. Both Warrens, Jalen and Tyler. Obviously, I think we know we're clicking Lemon if he's here. What else do you see?
Well, if we take unstacked Burrow, we're probably a little less likely to get unstacked Mahomes. So, you'd have that working for you. Yeah, let's take Lemon. We talked about him the entire show so far. Yeah.
The other guy in this range that, and I kind of want to talk through it, although we won't have time, is like, I'm really coming around to Rhamondre being kind of like my favorite bet in this range, but I'm also open to Warren here as well.
I'm fine with Rhamondre if you want to go to him as a flag plant type thing.
Sure. And I mean, by flag, there's flag plants, and then there's like gently putting your thumb on the scale to tilt it to Rhamondre.
Which I mean, when you see like 4 running backs at the top like that, it's, to me, the Sidekick does some work for you with like, hey, this is a pretty good spot to take a running back. And if you feel really strongly that Rhamondre over Warren makes the team better, then yeah, I'm totally good with that.
What do you, I talked to Levitan about this, and I think, I know you guys the projections are always going to like Pollard a good bit. I was mentioning to him, I did some look at those cumulative offensive line rankings, and the Titans were like bottom 2 across all the aggregated stuff. And I started to have like that moment of, if I am chasing the volume, and it's similar to Judkins, Browns are going to have one of the worst offensive lines. I started to have a little bit of moment of panic for all of the projectable volume with Pollard I'm chasing, thinking about the offensive line, the systemic risk with the offense, Singleton and Spears. Talk me off the ledge of why I should continue to be okay with Pollard here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the advantages of the sim-based process that we have. It's not just looking at, median projections. Like, we're doing a range of outcomes approach, and then you sim out the season. And there's seasons where like Pollard sucks, like the whole thing just doesn't work. Like, we have a good amount of downside built in for Pollard because there is a lot of downside here. So he still sims pretty well for us. And I think it's more about like, what is the utility of a guy like that, where I think is an RB3 at the 6-7 turn in best ball, like there is utility to Pollard. We do like him. We like Warren usually like a little more, but it depends. It's close. Stevenson's kind of in that mix. Like, I think he's priced like reasonably well. And then one thing I've noticed that's interesting is when you go over to the Frenchie Marathon, we like Pollard.
That's an incredible phrase to just say without any context when you head over to the Frenchie Marathon.
Yeah, you head over to the Frenchie Marathon. Pollard is at like more like the 5-6 turn for us.
Okay.
And so you can tell like it's like the Sims do get it. That's like a thing where I'm like, okay, like we like him because he's probably going to produce pretty quickly. Like, there's no, like, he doesn't have to earn anything. It's very much a bet on like, I hope this holds, kind of thing. And it's like when all the weeks count the same, Pollard's worth more. When the final weeks count a lot more, Pollard's worth less. But there is still teams that he helps advance, even if he's not like a core part of winning it for you in week 17 in a lot of cases.
How do you feel about it? Because I assume you've heard it, and people joke around with us on ship chasing, and even when we were drafting FFPC, and people were ragging on me for a Montgomery, Rhamondre, I forget the other boomers I had on my team there. This idea of the slappy way of drafting, the way all the breakouts we used to stack up, and clearly the Sims have impacted how you think about best ball scoring in particular. How has that been for you? Like, getting all the feedback of Pat doesn't draft like he used to.
I think in some ways I get it. In some ways I think it's not correct, because like, look how many rookies, and like, who's the slappiest non-rookie wide receiver on the board? Isn't it Travis Hunter? Because I'm jamming him. Like, there's actually quite a few.
Omar Cooper too. Yeah.
I mean, I actually have more Omar Cooper than I have Hunter. But I said, of the non-rookies, I think it's probably Hunter. I'm drafting a lot of Yeah.
Let's
Mahomes,
make
man.
these picks. I mean, we finally found the spot. I think I love these two picks here. Mahomes and
Let's do it.
Downs for us
Yeah.
look awesome.
I'm very into it.
But yeah, keep going on that. Or actually, just real quick, it did flip to the running backs. I'm open to that too. Brooks, Dobbins, Downs. What do you think?
I'm into Brooks. I mean, Brooks, I think is pretty fun. It gives us a fourth running back, and that's probably less likely to feel okay when we get back.
Yep. All right, let's do that.
I actually was wondering if it would flip to Brooks once we had Mahomes on the squad, but Downs is obviously a strong pick there too. But yeah, I mean, like, so Brooks would be an example. Like, basically, I think what the Sims have helped me figure out, and sort of by blunt force, because I didn't want to learn it, but it's like hey, you seem interested, in Jonathan Brooks and Omar Cooper and Travis Hunter and all these guys who are like kind of high upside plays, but might not be able to, advance teams at super high rates, because of that they don't score points like super consistently, or, it's more back weighted or whatever the individual case might be. And guys like David Montgomery, Rhamondre Stevenson, Javonte Williams, like Josh Jacobs now in the fourth, like that those guys have the ability to like chug along and advance teams. And it includes, by the way, Jeremiyah Love. I think Love, more than we think, might have, some kind of like some fits and starts, like he's obviously going to produce some early. It's not like he's got to earn everything, but there could be some quiet weeks, in the first 14 weeks of the season. And so to have him paired with guys, like a Swift or even a Skattebo or Montgomery, that could be quite helpful to get him through. So there's these, like, I'm drafting a lot of guys who I think are exciting upside bets, fairly slappy picks, but I'm pairing them more with players who are going to help advance those teams than I used to. But like, I think that's probably good. Like, I think that's more likely to get that team to the final where my slappy picks can win me the money.
And it's like, what's interesting is like this evolution happened in salary cap DFS, right? Like there used to be the thing where we were all filling our flex with the wide receivers. It was like this higher upside position. And then you've seen a sea change in the past couple of years where it was running backs in the flex, like over and over, because it's just easier to project, especially on a week to week basis, the running backs getting the ball over the wide receivers, and the way pricing dynamics obviously impact that. And so there is this like maturation of how we think about best ball scoring. And the other part of it too, and I was actually listening to JJ on the Late Round podcast recently. I don't remember what episode, but he talked about how the better in best ball moniker has actually been distorted, where we used to think it's like the boom bust guy or whatever. And the better in best ball is like just the guys who are contributing points to your lineup. And guys like David Montgomery are like the better in best ball picks. It's not, it's not Gabe Davis. It's not Alec Pierce. It's not like the guys who can go 5 or 25. Those are the better in best ball picks. And I think that's been hard for maybe, the slappy community to come around on.
I think so too. And I think that it is like, there is, I say utility, like you get something for it, right? Like you take David Montgomery in best ball, and that unlocks the ability to do some fun stuff. You can take that, like, you want to take a bunch of rookie wide receivers, because I think the rookie wide receivers are pretty underpriced. So that allows you to like take some guys who are going to be not scoring a ton of points early in the season, but you've got like David Montgomery chugging along, and normally is part of like 4 or 5, maybe 5 running back builds. But you're not going to, you're going to use those points. The Aaron Jones would be kind of a perfect encapsulation of what we're talking about here. Yeah.
By the way, we took Travis Kelce. That was an obvious one with Mahomes.
No, that was an auto. Yeah.
And then Aaron Jones does pop up here at like tight ends as well, but we get that. This was essentially the exact same room I just drafted. It was Gibbs, Montgomery, Rhamondre, and Jones in the first draft, and I was getting shredded by the chat from my boomer room.
Yeah, I think the one of the things that jumped out to me, I was drafting like in slow drafts over the weekend, and it was like quarterback versus I was on the turn, so I'm like looking at like it was like running back and wide receiver, and quarterback was a little further down. And I took one of the running back and wide receiver positions. I forget which one. And then quarterback jumped up and flipped all the other remaining players. And I was like, right, because I just need another flex player. Like I needed one flex player. And once I had a flex eligible player, then quarterback became the big priority. And it's like, yeah, running backs and wide receiver both are eligible to fill the flex. They're both like, they kind of have some overlap. And also you could do things like David Montgomery helps get Makai Lemon to where he's smashing. You know, like I'm paying, if you think Makai Lemon's overpriced because he's not going to produce super well early in the season, but you agree he has some end of season upside, a David Montgomery Makai Lemon combo has some real utility to it.
Well,
you know?
Is it that the lesson from Sam's lineup, it had the Tony Pollard and Luther Burden combo, right?
That's
like,
exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. Yes. That's it. Yeah. Like you got to get there. Now, it would be nice if in addition to that combo, we got some very easy pods. Just some super easy pods to get through. Like,
yeah.
I just Sam seems to be genuinely irritated about the pod discourse. So I like.
Wait, is that a thing? I mean, I remember.
Yeah, there's something. You know, one of the best ball data biz things was like this. Sam's had the most pod luck of anyone.
That's like Pat. You know how he put out a thing for like most winnings from like BBM winners? You should like put one out with an asterisk, like ranking the difficulty of the pods. Just need this sparring between the BBM winners. Yes, exactly. All right, here's the team so far. So we, you know, a bugaboo of mine have been all these naked Patrick Mahomes teams. Well, guess what? We got the premium double stack here. Mahomes,
baby.
Rashi Rice and Kelsey. We have the running back room that's jacked up here. Gibbs, Monty, Rhamondre, Jonathan Brooks, and Aaron Jones. We have the nice wide receivers, Nico, Rashi Rice, Adams, and Lemon. So really a lot of flexibility here. Basically kind of thinking about the quarterback stuff. Stroud coming back to us at 144 would be nice. But otherwise, I think we're in good shape.
I do too.
The other quarterback options, I guess nothing obvious here. You could do a Bryce Young, something with Brooks potentially. Otherwise, you're probably building out some kind of back stack.
Yeah. You're probably going to see like Stroud or something recommended.
Well, Stroud with Nico makes a ton of sense.
Oh, yeah.
But I was even saying like, if he doesn't make it back, then we're kind of starting to run
Stroud with Nico and Montgomery. So we're definitely going to see Stroud.
The Omar Cooper goes. So this is that stretch. You see Coker go, Hunter, Rashid, Cooper. But with these four up top, I mean, we had 4 wide receivers through 6 rounds. So it's not like we're dying there.
Yeah, Hunter and Cooper are such a core part of what I'm doing. It's sad to see them go, but yeah, we'll be all right. We'll be all right at wide receiver.
We're probably going to get sniped on Stroud there by Higgins. I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Solver does want to make sure I keep saying Solver. Sidekick wants us to get Darnold here and just lock up a quarterback.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, this is why I was like, do we pull up, Bryce Young, but you have Daniel Jones here. It does like a swinging back to tight end.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Jennings is fine too, but yeah.
Do you like Chig, Strange?
I'd go Strange.
Okay. Yeah, the Chig stuff, I feel like we grabbed Strange and Darnold there. The Chig bros have been pretty loud lately. I know Jacob's really on him. I feel like every time I do a stream, people are telling me Chig is the league winner. I need more Chig. Are you buying it?
A little, but like I don't. It's more like with Chig, I want to be more in like tight end premium. I think is where I'm like, okay, I might need to get more on Chig as a guy who could get more receptions than I was like initially thinking, and just have like a really high targets per route run is functionally the number 2 wide receiver in Washington. But I mean, I do. The limiting thing for me with Chig is that like I don't think he's that good. Like that, right? Like that's sort of a problem. He's never been super efficient outside of a small sample rookie season, which got everyone excited about him. But we've since seen him be pretty underwhelming. He's at 1.46 yards per route run for his career, which isn't bad. And a more normal tight end profile, I would say he's set up like really well here, but he also hasn't really been a full-time player. And then last year, he's kind of like splitting / getting passed by Gunnar Helm. So this is like a player who the last time we saw him wasn't really like even holding his own at the tight end position on his team. So it's like I get some of the upside for sure, but 62% route participation last season is it's pretty low for tight. Like you want more like 80%. And there's definitely upside for that to increase and for him to be more of a full-time player and kind of take over like the Zach Ertz role. Even if he's at like 75%, that'd be pretty great in this situation, assuming they don't bring in like a Diggs or whatever. So yeah, there's definitely upside, but the market's excited about him, and I guess I'm just like a little less so. So where I'm more likely to want to be like, okay, I don't want to miss out is the more I get per reception, the more I like Chig, because I think that's probably how he makes me pay for a fade is that he just racks up receptions kind of more underneath, you know.
In like, I don't know. I mean, maybe this is just too binary, but I'm like, teams where I have Jayden, like I'm excited about Chig, that price. Like if Jayden smashes, the tight end's almost always coming along for the ride. But like, I am not just raw dogging Chig ahead of ADP. I don't know how he separates from the Henrys and the Juwan Johnsons, the Siddiqs. Like he doesn't stand out to me just in a vacuum.
Yeah. And it sounds like I'm like fading Chig. I'm not. I'm at 8.4%. So I'm like dead even with the field on Chig. So it's just that I'm like having trouble generating a ton of excitement as him as like the straight up like league winner. So yeah, it's more that like I think he's fine, but he's not like one of my favorite clicks.
All right, here's the team as we head to the 14-15 turn. We have Mahomes and Darnold. We have Gibbs, Monty, Rhamondre, Brooks, Jones. Gonna guess we're probably done at running back here. Nico, Rashee Rice, Adams, Lemon. Just those four. We're probably looking to grab one or two wide receivers here. And then tight ends, Kelsey in Strange. Sidekick right now, top suggestions, Debo, Deshaun Stribling. And then we do get to the Schultz, Barner.
I bet Schultz goes though.
Okay.
Right, so Schultz, because we have this Texans thing.
True.
But without the quarterback, but yeah, see Schultz goes to the Stroud guy. So I'm guessing we'll see a wide receiver and then Barner will jump to the top, but perhaps not. Might be two wide receivers at the top here. I'm good with Debo, and then these rookies are fun as well.
Yeah, Debo makes a ton of sense here. Past ADP, catching up, and then let's see if Barner flips. Yeah, he does flip it.
Yeah, he does.
Which I'm good to get the stack.
I'm good with that too. Tight end 3 stacked.
Beautiful. It was funny. I talked with Levitan. We did a Darnold double stack, and at the very end, we tacked on Arroyo, which a guy I hadn't really even thought about. How do you think about Barner this year, and I guess some of these ancillary Seahawks pieces?
Yeah, I mean, I think Arroyo could. I mean, he was a second round pick last year. Like he could certainly make more noise this year, and we've seen. You know, it used to be like the conventional wisdom on tight ends. It's like, hey, they're going to take a couple years. Like you can't even like expect anything in year one. And so I think Arroyo definitely could emerge a little bit more this year. However, I did not think Arroyo was a very good prospect. He did a lot of his like hype around the draft came out of the Senior Bowl, where he was like this really exciting route runner at the Senior Bowl and kind of impressed people on tape with his ability to be a receiver, but he wasn't very productive. So that type of player makes me nervous. It's like, well, why didn't he ever really do it? He was on like he was with Cam Ward in college. He was on a good offense. Like I would have expected more. And then you get Barner, who was kind of whatever as a prospect, but he broke out last year in a pretty fun way because he's very much a traditional tight end. Like this dude played in line 80% of his snaps. He's not very athletic. He's kind of like just like a dude who holds down the tight end role. But this is sort of another better in best ball archetype. Like, if you're going to tell me that you like own this job, and I think he probably does because of his ability to just like straight up play traditional tight end and block dudes in an offense that's very old school. It's like move the man in front of you is like a pretty big part of what they're into. So
Yeah.
I think Barner probably is just going to be their starting tight end all year because of his ability to like be a very traditional guy who can also catch the ball well enough. And that Arroyo's path is probably this year more in 12. And then maybe by next year he could, kind of challenge things a little bit more. But one of the things I like about Barner as well is that like he was a second year tight end last year. He broke out in his second season, gained a full-time role in his second season. I'd compare him a little bit to like Cade Otton or something. Yeah. Like, I don't think he's like, I'm not excited about him as like the archetype of player, but Otton has been a starting tight end now for a few years. And I think Barner, he has a very clean path to just kind of Ottoning.
I do. Yeah. Otton is like the perfect thing. And he has such a negative stigma. Like no one gets excited when you draft Otton. And yet there's been these periods where whether he's just touchdown hunting in big games where they score a ton of points or one of the top dogs is out. And all of a sudden you're like, Cade Otton had 9 targets last week.
Exactly.
Like how did that happen?
And at baseline, Barner's in a situation where he can it's sort of like someone is out, right? Like there's not as many weapons to start with.
Okay. On the clock here, Ridley, Wicks, Geno, Cooper Kupp, Hurst, the top Sidekick suggestions. Which one do you want to click first?
I'm good with Ridley for sure. It's kind of part of this Debo thing where like we're filling out wide receiver depth.
Yeah.
Wide receiver 5 and 6, so these like boring vets, but you do have Lemon. You do have some upside that we got earlier. Geno's interesting at jumping to the top here.
Yeah, and then Kupp is like the
way
Ridley
past ADP,
thing, but stacked. Yeah, what do you want to do? You want to grab the quarterback or get Kupp?
Let's grab the quarterback because we got one more pick. So Kupp probably is there for us.
Yeah, no one's ever fighting me too hard for Cooper Kupp there. Yeah, Geno at 193. This is so funny because this is very similar to the team I drafted this morning from the one hole where I got Geno, although I had Cooper and Sadiq, so it made sense there. Here's another thing too, because I'm very 3 quarterback pilled. Obviously the Sidekick is a lot of people continue to like push back on this idea. What does Geno Smith do for this team? Or, you made your bet with these 2, you don't have a Jets player. Like what are you doing here? What do you say to that?
Well, like, okay, you don't have a Jets player. You do have a Mahomes double stack. So like when you get to week 17, right? When you get to the finals, you've drafted all these teams. I will have drafted thousands of teams, but I'm going to get to the finals and I'll have like, if I had like a dozen teams in the finals across all the teams I draft, I'm going to be psyched, right? It's really hard to get to the finals. So you get one BBM team through, you're pumped. So, I mean, maybe Sam's bummed because he usually gets 2, but I had to give it to him after the pod luck on. You get one team through and you're like, all right, what is it? What's it look like? Who's on it? You pull this team through. You're like, I know what I want this week. And it's the Jets to go. No, it's the Mahomes double. We built it already. It's Mahomes double stack. But how does the Mahomes double stack get here in the first place? It could be really helpful to have Geno Smith. He could be a guy who helps us get through round 1. And we already built the thing. You can build additional outs for week 17 and assume you're there. You can also, which is fine, but there's also times where it makes more sense to help get the team to week 17 with like a clear win condition in week 17 already on the team, right? Like that's kind of what Geno does for this team, where you have Darnold and Geno and Mahomes contributing to getting this team to the final. And then probably if you take down BBM, it will be the Mahomes double stack that goes off.
Yep. For sure. And it just goes back. It kind of dovetails too with that better and best ball thing of like, right now you're more likely to take on a 0 with who you're clicking in the 17th round. And Geno is not going to be a 0, like he's going to contribute points to your lineup. And this one's a little different too, because there's sometimes where you tack on Geno and you have maybe more draft capital spent at quarterback. I mean, I would argue Mahomes in 8 and Darnold in round 12, like just in how we historically thought about QB draft capital, like that's still pretty thin as a 2 quarterback build.
If your first was in 8 and your second was in 12 2 years ago, we probably would have said this is a 3 quarterback build, right?
Correct.
Right. So
yes.
Like, it's just why? Because the team, it helps advance the team.
I love this top suggestion here because I literally went on a rant this morning of like, I have to get my Tank Dell exposure down and I have to get my Jaylen Noel exposure up.
I feel the same.
Yeah.
And you'll see the sidekicks now, starting to reflect that. I think we're going to get sniped on him though, man.
Why? Oh, the Houston guy. No, he went Carson Beck. No. Pat,
what does Carson Beck do for this team, bro?
How do you throw a CJ Stroud drafter off the scent of Jaylen Noel? You start talking about how badly you need a 3rd quarterback to the point you take Carson Beck.
Amazing.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. There we go. Yeah. Talk to me on it. Like, I mean, to me, or I just want to hear your take. Why should we start getting more Jaylen Noel and less Dell?
I think that Dell, I still think that Dell could be the right answer, but I'm starting to feel more like I don't know what the right answer is, and that there's a starting job up for grabs here between the 2. And Dell, I think, still probably, to my understanding, he is on track to contribute at some point this season, but there's been some stuff where like, hey, yeah, he's still kind of like working back to a real degree. Like, and he might miss a decent chunk of training camp before, he's able to practice in pads or whatever. So I'm starting to think of Dell as like a late season play, as a guy who might by the end of the year kind of start to look like his old self. And that could be really fun, especially if you have it stacked. But what happens until then might be Jaylen Noel. And what if Jaylen Noel breaks out in that role? Like, what if they don't really need to change anything up? Also they could be looking at Tank Dell as just a bonus. Like, whatever we get out of Tank, great. But our main priority is Jaylen Noel to play in the slot. So that's like, I'm not fully there, but that's definitely in the range now where Noel kind of has the inside track because Dell just isn't quite back. So I want to be taking a little bit more Noel and less Dell. I was taking a good amount of Dell because the initial stuff looked pretty positive, but yeah, I think ultimately it's like this exciting thing of like, hey, this guy's back. He's working his ass off to get back. He's running around a bit. He's on track to play this year. That's exciting. But digging more into it as we've gotten a little more information, it's like he's on track to play this year, but like at what level, still a little up in the air. So that's where I'm starting to go, okay, Dell might not be the right answer. It might be Noel.
Yeah. And like, again, just getting back to even the draft percentage dynamics, if we think it's even close and Tank Dell's 100% drafted and Jaylen Noel is probably pacing to be sub 10%, that's a meaningful difference in ownership.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, we're far enough into the tournament where, we're like a third of the way through BBM now.
Yeah, that's a good question here. Where are we at BBM? Yeah, 34.2 exactly.
Yeah, so there's like not, Noel's probably going to be at most like 70% drafted. So that and he won't. Like, he's not. I don't think Noel's going to suddenly become like a huge part of what people are doing. So,
all right, let's recap this team. 3-5-7-3 in the books. The days of drafting naked Mahomes are gone. Now we just draft premium double stacks. Patrick Mahomes, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith. Our 5 running backs: Gibbs, Monty, Rhamondre Stevenson, Jonathan Brooks, and Aaron Jones. Nico Collins, Rashee Rice, Devontae Adams, Makai Lemon, Deebo Samuel, Calvin Ridley, and Jaylen Noel. The ultimate slappy pick, if you know, from last year's song from Buck St. Thomas. And 3 tight ends: Travis Kelce, Brenton Strange, AJ Barner. How did we do, Pat?
I like this team. We unfortunately stacked Mahomes. He's better naked, as everyone knows. But we have, it fell nicely for us. We got Makai Lemon. It's always nice when you talk about a guy for a while and then he ends up on the team. We built out in a couple different ways some boring guys, some of those veteran utility plays, but we have some upside plays as well. We have the Texans without the quarterback, but we've got this is actually quite clean for us in week 17. We would like the Texans and the Chiefs to score a bunch of points. And we only need Mahomes, Mahomes over Stroud. Great. I think that seems like a pretty, if Stroud's outscoring Mahomes, the double stack probably wasn't the right call. So, that feels pretty clean for us. Gibbs always makes the team super fun. Jonathan Brooks is a potential end of season hammer. We got a couple, it's almost like the, like when there's the spaceship takes off, you got to clear the Earth's gravity, and then you get past Earth, and then you see them break off, the boosters break off. That's Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones for this team. Jonathan Brooks is what gets us to the moon. Aaron Jones helps us break out of Earth's gravity. That's how I'm thinking about it.
All right. I was worried we were going to get to a Challenger analogy.
No, I hope not.
It's so funny, Pat. Look at this real quick. This was the team I drafted from the one hole earlier. It was Hurts, Shuck, Geno. Look at this running back group: Gibbs, Monty, Stevenson, Aaron Jones. The same four. And I didn't even have the sidekick up when I did this. The sidekick was in my head. I did do Alvin Kamara with the Shuck, and then Nico, Devontae, Jamo, Worthy, Pearsall, Cooper, Wicks. And then again, 3 late tight ends, Jawan, Sadiq, Darnell Washington. So very similar vibe on 2 different Gibbs teams there.
That is fun. Yeah. I'm happy we have the Brooks side of that as opposed to Kamara. But...
Oh, you like Jonathan Brooks more than Kamara? Congratulations on that take.
A pound of the table for Brooks there, Pete.
I will say, Pete, if I'm just comparing apples to apples, I do prefer Jonathan Brooks to Alvin Kamara.
I know, man. I know it's controversial. The guys barely played in the NFL, but I prefer him.
Pat, I just set you up for the redirect here for your show with Greg Branos, aka the Coach Speak Index. Anything else people should look out for here?
Yeah, so I'm going to tease. We're not officially announcing this or launching this until a little bit later this week, but someone asked in the chat, why do all the best ball tools start with an S? We've got one that's not going to start with an S that's launching called the Kickstand, and it's functionally
Is this a bit?
Nope.
Okay.
It's functionally a Sidekick Lite, and we're gonna. So you got your the week 17 tags. It's very similar kind of side little sidecar element, and you got the tags. You got the notification sounds, and so a lot of the key features of the Sidekick without dynamic player rankings. So you can upload your own rankings, you can sort by leg up rankings, ADP, but kind of those helpful features to keep you grounded in the draft, where the player recommendations, the dynamic player recommendations that we have in the Sidekick is still going to be at the Sidekick level. And the Kickstand is just going to be included with the Leg Up membership. So if you're a Leg Up member, when we launch it, you'll have it. You just need to install the Sidekick extension. And if you want to sign up for it, just sign up for Leg Up. And we're still doing the 2 tiers, Leg Up and Sidekick.
Okay, there you go. So hang on, tell me if I'm being too reductive, but it's the Sidekick without the Sims, but all the other information you'd want, or are Sims part of it?
No, Sims are not part of it. So Sidekick without the Sims is a an easy way to describe it. Yes. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Check that out over on legendaryupside.com. A couple other promos in the ship chasing universe tomorrow night, as I mentioned, ADP chasing, no Davis, but guess what? Matt Harmon, reception perception from Yahoo is going to be swinging by and joining the fellas. I'm sure we'll have some good wide receiver talk tomorrow night. And then Wednesday, Pat, I told the crew, we are drafting a live main event. The draft is already filled. Yumi and Jacob kind of battling our first live main event of the year. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too, man. Me too. If I'm already signed up, I get that now. The answer to that question is yes. That's like very much a part of it. So
There you go.
once it's live, we'll be live in a few days. But yeah, we're planning to launch it this week. You'll have to install the same extension. It's all going to be in the same extension. So the Sidekick extension, you'll just have whatever your tier is at Leg Up. It'll read that, and then you'll have access to either the kickstand or the Sidekick.
Beautiful. All right, guys, another mega best ball breakfast stream in the books. Thank you to Levitan, to Sam, to Pat, to producer Mark, to everybody hanging out in the chat. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't. Otherwise, we will be back as usual every Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern, and perhaps even adding some best ball breakfasts in August once things really heat up. We'll see you guys next time on BBB. Peace.